Hey, hey, hey. Hey, guys. Today's the day. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Today's the day. I am so excited. Are you guys excited? Are you excited for the store? Sorry, had to do it. Had to do it. Had to do it. Had to do it. I see QB and Lauren's in the stream, so I had to. I had to. Had to. Okay, let me see who we have here. Who do we have in the cafe this morning? QB's here automatically right off the bat. She's raring to go. She says, "Good morning, everybody. Today's the day. Don't forget to put your DNA all over the like button as you come in." No collection or analysis will ever be done. While you're at it, please do all the other YouTubey things like subscribe and share to let others know about this awesome content. Ween Baby says first. Hi Ween Baby. Hi Lauren. Hey Sherry Jones. Hello Storm Chasers. Margaret says, "I'm up. I'm ready. I got all my lemon jokes queued up. Y'all are just going to have to deal with me today." I love the lemon jokes. Love the lemon jokes. Chad Daybell is a lemon face head anyway, so we're ready for it. Ooh, Ween Baby might be off work tomorrow. Nice. Margaret's like, "I got lemon jokes that can't wait. Hey, Henny." Did I say hi to Henny yet? Hi, Henny. The Lemon Prophecies by Chad Daybell. Oh my God. Lauren's liking the intro, vibing on the intro again. I'm glad you like it. I like it. Oh my God, Margaret. The Lemon Pledge of Allegiance by Chad Daybell. If you know what Lemon Pledge is, that's funny. In a world full of lemons, be a lemon by Chad Daybell. Oh my God. She said, "I got to get these lemon jokes out. I'm cramping up." She's all stove up with lemon jokes. Good morning, Brenda. Glad to see you here. Hi, Brenda. Lauren and QB are already like, "Ma'am, Jenny." Yes, Sherry Jones, the thunder and the lightning. Thunder. Ooh, right, Ween Baby. I feel sorry for the cop that'll have to read those text messages. Oh, gross. QB said, "I'll take the lemon jokes over the storm." Morgana, JB. Hi, girls. Hi, girls. Morgana said, "The Lemon Storm" by Chad Daybell. Oh my God. She stove up. That's right. She all stove up. Ween Baby said, "I don't want to do lemons dirty like that." Oh my God. Ay, ay, ay. I know, we're waiting. We're waiting. I have the stream up and on, volume all the way up, and the red live button says live is on. We are ready to roll. Yep, volume up. And we're live. I don't know why. For some reason, my thing wants to act dumb sometimes. It's like I have a little delay in what I tell my computer to do and what it actually does, you know? Yeah. Margaret says, while we wait, here's a few jokes for you. Y'all got your coffee ready for this? I have coffee. Coffee. You always have a little delay, QB? So this morning on Twitter, it was so funny. This morning on Twitter, I was looking at some updates, and hold on, let me go find it real quick. It was pretty funny. All right, where is it? I have to go to hold on, let me go find it. All right, here it was. So let me just share this tab real quick with you guys. This is on Twitter. This is Gigi from Pretty Lies and Alibis on the X on Twitter. And she says, here, song of the day. Song of the day. So pretty much Gigi is like me, being the one to make fun. And then Kathy Russin is basically QB and Lauren, because Kathy's like, stop it right now. But Gigi posted, she said, song of the day, if you know, you know. The thunder rolls and the lightning strikes. Today's the day. The Thunder Rolls by Garth Brooks. And then Kathy Russin says, stop it right now. And somebody says, ready for the storm? Not. Oh, this made me it just killed me. It just killed me. And then I saw she posted something else and Kathy replied with, I hate you. Oh, I died. Oh my God. Yeah, I know, right? We maybe hope they're not streaming it through a potato. Their audio better have improved from potatoes and paper sacks. I have a feeling that they haven't done anything to improve the audio. Just saying. Sadly. I'm sure they have not. Go back over here and share this tab just in case they happen to hop in when we're not paying attention. Dun dun. Thunder. Can't make fun of fart face? Of course you can make fun of fart face. Well, if they're streaming it through Zoom, that's the challenge. Challenge. I don't know. I don't know. Doesn't make any sense to me, though, because they're in the same courtroom, right? They're in the same courtroom. So why do they got to use Zoom? I don't understand that. Yes, Ween Baby, me too. She says, I like when Law and Crime does their own feed and films the perp arriving like they did with Alec Murdaugh. Yep. I like it too. Margaret says the Apple River trial is like being there. You are in that courtroom. Yeah. Morgana said the same thing. She says the Apple River trial has the best audio ever. The audio is that good. Well, I have a feeling we're going to have 8 to 10 weeks of streaming from the Spud studio. Streaming from the Spud studio. Oh, Henny finished day 4 earlier. I've still got to get caught up. I meant to get caught up on it yesterday, but then yes, Margaret. Yes. Spud Studio, an affiliate of Paper Sack Productions. Oh, I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Oh. Spud Studio, an affiliate of Paper Sack Productions. Good morning, Gail. Good morning. Margaret said, I told you I got my jokes ready to go. Yes, you know. Yes, you know. Oh, and here we go. QB says, y'all, please don't post results for Apple Dumpling. For the Apple River trial, we lovingly call it the Apple Dumpling trial because that's just how my brain calls it. If you happen to see it, she's avoiding spoilers. They're doing closing arguments. Well, you know what, QB? It would behoove you to go watch that because you're so invested and you can get caught up on the opening statements later for this. Because I don't want you to miss anything good. Morgana says the same thing. Please don't post. Please don't post. Please don't post. Oh, did Steph pop in? Where's Steph? Oh, there she is. I see her. She says, can I stay awake? We'll find out. Well, I hope you can stay awake. What surgeon, Margaret? Was it the surgeon that did the surgery for the guy that was like stabbed in the stomach? Okay. Yeah. I know, right? When you say got it in the stomach, it's there are other words that I would use, just not this early in the morning. Yes, QB for that. Yep. Ooh, JB said y'all better turn off your X notifications then. Steph. Steph says, no discussing apple bottom until next week, so I have a chance to catch up too. We call it everything but the Apple River trial. Yeah, that's for the storm. Oh, Godwin, baby, right? I can imagine. So jury instructions are always like 52 years long. They're so long and boring. Lauren's like, I know. What do you mean you went a little sideways? Where? Here in Discord or what? Where? What? How? When? Why? How? Why? Here. 29 pages of jury instructions. Ooh, Steph, I would imagine that would be hard to not snooze. She said, laying in bed with the side of my head on a heating pad, scented with lavender, and it's been tough to not snooze. QB. I don't want it. I don't want it. I'm going to go look on Twitter for any I want to go look for any updates in case they're in the actual courtroom. Dun 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 dun. Just a second. Hold on just a second. Oof. All right, let me go back over here to Twitter and I'll share this with you guys. All right. I wish my computer were not running so slow. Taking forever for it to move from one thing to the next. I'm going to go back and share this tab. The citrus cyclone. Oh my God. Oh my God. All right. So this is on Twitter and ooh, let's look at this. What's this say? In case you're wondering what Chad Daybell is charged with, this is similar to what Lori Daybell Vallow was guilty of during her trial, minus the insurance fraud. Okay. So the trial of Chad Daybell, he is charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder for Tammy Daybell, his wife, JJ Vallow, and Tylee Ryan. 3 counts of conspiracy to commit murder for those 3 people, grand theft, and insurance fraud. And then Lori was charged conspiracy to commit first-degree murder for Tylee. Oh. We have audio. We have audio. Oh, here we go. Kel,
All right, good morning, everyone. We're on the record now on Fremont County case CR 22-21-1623, State of Idaho versus Chad Daybell. Let me confirm with our tech people and clerks here, is the broadcast on? Yeah. Thank you. The court will note that as we get started, there is a courtroom conduct order in effect that you've all been advised. Please pay attention to the terms of that order, including making sure you don't have any devices that would go off and interrupt proceedings. No recording within this courtroom or photography of any type. The court is providing public access through the open proceedings as well as the live stream that's being conducted. With the court's live stream, we have, I think, good technology in place to accomplish that. If something comes up that interrupts the live broadcast of this trial, and this will be throughout the trial, we'll give an opportunity to try to get that started again. However, if there's going to be any kind of significant delay in the live stream broadcast, the court will be continuing on with the proceedings. So there may be gaps in that, but I think our technology is in place that hopefully that won't occur. But just so those listening in understand, if it does come up, we likely will not pause the trial longer than necessary to make that accommodation. At this time, I'll note also for the benefit of counsel, we do have all 18 jurors, our 12 jurors with 6 alternates have arrived this morning, and everyone has submitted their juror affirmation sheet regarding following the court's admonishment while they've been gone. No issues to bring up on the affirmations of the jurors. So with that in mind, then let me go to the state, noting the state is here present. Is the state ready to proceed this morning?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
And is the defense ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Okay, thanks, counsel. All right, before we bring the jurors in, which we'll do very shortly here. I also, as we are getting started and before the jurors are sworn and we take evidence, I believe we've already had a motion to exclude witnesses. Let me just clarify on the record, is there going to be a motion to exclude witnesses through evidence portion of the trial made by the defense?
Yes, Your Honor. So,
Very well. The court will reaffirm then there has been a motion to exclude witnesses. So as the state begins with its case in chief, keep that in mind that they are not permitted to observe the trial proceedings, including the live stream. The only exception would be for a witness. If they statutorily qualify as a victim, then they are permitted to observe the proceedings. So each witness is going to be questioned whether or not they've observed any trial proceedings, and I would instruct the state and then following the defense, if they have witnesses, to make sure that the exclusionary rule is followed. Does the state have any questions on that matter?
Your Honor, the state would just clarify and just make counsel in the court aware. It's the state's understanding that through the Constitution and statutorily, victims have a right to remain in the courtroom throughout the proceedings, regardless of whether or not they are victims. And we have discussed that with defense counsel and made the court aware of who we think there may be a crossover with, meaning individuals that may be present and also witnesses. But statutorily, they would have the right to be here. So including any of the defendant's children, as well as, since they were Tammy's children, as well as siblings, sometimes grandparents. The court made a ruling last year in the Vallow case. I think if we're following a similar guideline, those are the individuals that we would just note for the record may be present at times, but should have the right to be present throughout the proceedings. In addition, I would just note for the record that we do have our case agent who will be present for the duration of the proceedings, and that's Chief Deputy Vince Kaikamani.
Okay, and the state's permitted their case agent as it relates to victims. The court agrees they are permitted to see the proceedings, including if they are a witness, who would take up on a witness by witness basis whether or not they fall within the statutory qualifications permitting that. And I know the state's aware of the issue. We'll make rulings contested as to whether or not they would qualify and later called to testify. Mr. Pryor from the defense, any further comment or questions on the exclusionary ruling?
nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. All right, this time then we will have the jurors brought in.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so far the audio isn't too
All right.
bad. Find out.
The jury's present and accounted for.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bell. Please be seated. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. We're on the record on Fremont County KCR 22-21-1623, State of Idaho versus Chad Daybell. We're ready to proceed with opening arguments and initial instructions this morning to you as jurors. The court notes that the prosecution is present as well as the defendant and the defense attorney representing him as well. We have qualified this panel of 18 jurors consisting of our 12 jurors with 6 alternates, and they are now seated for trial. Let me start with the state and ask, will the state agree that the jury has now been properly seated and ready to be sworn?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Will the defense agree as well?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you for returning this morning. You're now seated as jurors in the case before us. As previously been told, I'm Stephen W. Boyce, the District Judge of Fremont County in charge of this courtroom trial. I'll briefly reintroduce you to some of our court personnel assisting here today. Shannon Holstein, seated to my right, is the clerk who is keeping minutes of the trial proceedings, will be marking trial exhibits and administering oaths to you as jurors and to the witnesses. We do have our courtroom bailiffs as well who assist with keeping order in the courtroom and helping the jury move about where they're supposed to throughout the day, and in enforcing any conduct orders we have in effect here for the trial. Our court reporter today, Amy Bland, is taking a stenographic record of everything said during the trial proceedings, and my staff attorney, Courtney Stallings, is seated to the far right, who assists me with legal research and administrative matters that come up throughout each day of trial. Each one of you has been qualified, examined, and selected to serve as a juror of this court. The clerk will now have a roll call of our seated jurors. Please, Madam Clerk, if you would conduct the roll call. As to each juror, once your juror number is announced, please just indicate present or here verbally so we acknowledge that on the record. Madam Clerk.
Juror 27, present. Juror 219,
Here.
juror 505,
Here.
juror 631.
Here.
Juror 653.
Here.
Juror 686,
Present.
juror 752,
Present.
juror 1680, present. Juror 823,
Here.
juror 1358,
Here.
juror 1365, yeah. Juror 716, yeah. Juror 751,
Here.
juror 997,
Here.
juror 1078, juror 1577, yeah. Juror 1271,
Present.
juror 1382, present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This case has been brought by the state of Idaho. I'll sometimes refer to the state as the prosecution. The state is here represented in this trial by Lindsay Blake, the Fremont County prosecutor. Ms. Blake, could you please stand briefly? Also, Rob Wood is the Madison County prosecutor. Ingrid Beatty is a special assistant prosecutor. And Rocky Wixom is a Fremont County deputy prosecutor. The defendant in this case, Mr. Daybell, is represented by his attorney, John Pryor. Thank you, counsel. In a few moments, the clerk will read you a redacted version of the amended indictment in this case. That document is not to be considered as evidence. It sets forth the charges against the defendant. You must not consider it as evidence of guilt and not be influenced by the fact that charges have been filed. Mr. Daybell has pled not guilty to the charges contained in the amended indictment. And please remember, again, it's a description of charges. It is not evidence. Under our law and system of justice, every defendant is presumed to be innocent. This means two things. First, the state has the burden of proving the defendant guilty. The state has that burden throughout the trial. The defendant is never required to prove his innocence, nor does the defendant ever have to produce any evidence at all. Second, the state must prove the alleged crimes beyond a reasonable doubt. A reasonable doubt is not a mere possible or imaginary doubt. It is a doubt based on reason and common sense. It may arise from a careful and impartial consideration of all the evidence or from a lack of evidence. If after considering all the evidence you have a reasonable doubt about the defendant's guilt, you must find the defendant not guilty. The duty of the jury is to determine the facts and then apply the law set forth in the instructions I will later give you to those facts. In this way, you will decide the case. In applying the court's instructions as to the controlling law, you must follow those instructions regardless of your opinion of what the law is or what the law should be or what any lawyer may state the law to be. During this course of the trial, including opening statements, you're instructed that you are not to discuss this case among yourselves or with anyone else, including using the internet or social media or any other form of communication, electronic or otherwise. Do not conduct any personal investigation or look up any information from any source, including the internet. And do not form an opinion as to the merits of the case until after the case has been submitted to you for your determination. The court's given you that instruction now multiple times, and I will continue to give you that instruction. And again, that's not because I don't think you're not paying attention. It's just important enough. We'll keep reiterating that. And I will note we received the juror affirmations today from each of the jurors indicating they have followed that instruction. So thank you for that. At this time then, the next matter we'll take up is to have this jury placed under oath for trial. At this time then, Madam Clerk, if you're ready to administer the oath, I'll have the jurors stand and will be placed under oath. When you stand, then please raise your right hands.
You solemnly swear or affirm you will try the cause now on trial and a true verdict rendered here in accordance with the law and the evidence, so help you God.
All right, thank you. Please be seated. All right, the jurors have already been advised of some of our trial procedures in this case, and I'll just give you some additional general information here. Our normal schedule is to run trial from 8:30 each day until 3:30. At times that will need to be modified for certain reasons. Sometimes we have matters to be argued outside of your presence. Sometimes during the recesses, they may seem to go long because we're conducting other court business outside of your presence. But we will take recesses through the morning and also in the afternoon. If anyone is uncomfortable, needs a break or recess for some specific reason, please notify the bailiff and we'll do our best to accommodate each of you and keep you comfortable while you're here. In addition, if anyone has any kind of accommodations they need, for example, assistance with a hearing device, other matters, please notify the bailiff again, and we want to make sure you are as comfortable as you can be and able to be alert and attentive throughout the presentation of evidence in the case. These seats that you have been assigned to at this time will be your specific seat throughout the trial. Please return to that same assigned seat each day or after each break so that we are able to determine who's here and if someone's not for some reason who's not here. If there are interruptions at times during the trial, I know that can be frustrating, but we'll work our best to keep those to a minimum, move the trial as long as efficiently as possible, but at times it just takes time to hear motions that are necessary outside of your presence. And then the courtroom and your location for deliberations, as well as during the trial where you'll be held. We've provided, of course, access to restrooms and other needs you may have. I'll address your compensation here. State law allows you for $10 a day for your jury service. However, after 5 days, that bumps up to $40 a day. So this trial is expected to go some time. You'll likely get into that increased range of compensation, and that's pursuant to Idaho Code 2215. You're also entitled, I believe, to a mileage reimbursement for travel each day, and that can further be explained to you if you have any questions. Also, you may notice from time to time, or a lot of the time, I'm looking at monitors here during the trial. You have case information here, availability to access and research things from the bench. And so if you notice me looking at those monitors, it's generally to assist me in trial issues that come up. At this time, then the court will provide the jury with some additional jury instructions. As I read through these, it's somewhat lengthy, and I will notify that you don't have to necessarily memorize everything I'm saying. When the trial is concluded and you deliberate, you will have printed copies of these instructions to return to for reference. And if you'll give me just a moment here, I have a brief inquiry to make with my staff attorney. All right, thank you. Now that you've been sworn as jurors to try this case, I'll go over with you what will be happening. I will describe how the trial will be conducted and what we will be doing. At the end of the trial, I'll give you more detailed guidance on how you are to reach your decision. Because the state has the burden of proof, it goes first. After the state's opening statement, the defense may make an opening statement or may wait until the state has presented its case. The state will offer evidence that it says will support the charges against the defendant. The defense may then present evidence but is not required to do so. If the defense does present evidence, the state may then present rebuttal evidence. This is evidence offered to answer the defense's evidence. After you have heard all of the evidence, I will give you additional instructions on the law. After you have heard the instructions, the state and the defense will each be given time for closing arguments. In their closing arguments, they will summarize the evidence to help you understand how it relates to the law. Just as the opening statements are not evidence, neither are the closing arguments. After the closing arguments, you will leave the courtroom together to make your decision. During your deliberations, you will have with you my instructions, the exhibits admitted into evidence, and any notes taken by you in court. The defendant is charged by the state of Idaho with a violation of law. The charges against the defendant are contained in the amended indictment. The amended indictment is simply a description of the charges. It is not evidence. Jury instruction number 3. The defendant, JJ Daybell, has been charged in the amended indictment with certain counts of entering into a conspiracy with Vallow Daybell and or Alex Cox and or other co-conspirators. The crime of conspiracy involves an agreement by 2 or more persons to commit a crime. You must only consider the evidence against the defendant, JJ Daybell, in this case, and should not speculate as to any other case or legal proceedings involving any alleged co-conspirators. You must remember that the defendant, JJ Daybell, has the presumption of innocence, and you must consider his guilt or innocence based solely on the evidence provided in this case. Instruction number 4. It is alleged that the crimes charged were committed on or about or on or between a certain date. If you find a crime was committed, the proof need not show that it was committed on that precise date. Instruction number 5. Under our law and system of justice, the defendant is presumed to be innocent. Presumption of innocence means 2 things. First, the state has the burden of proving the defendant guilty. The state has that burden throughout the trial. The defendant is never required to prove his innocence, nor does the defendant ever have to produce any evidence at all. Second, the state must prove the alleged crime beyond a reasonable doubt. A reasonable doubt is not a mere possible or imaginary doubt. It is a doubt based on reason and common sense. It may arise from a careful and impartial consideration of all the evidence or from lack of evidence. If after considering all the evidence you have a reasonable doubt about the defendant's guilt, you must find the defendant not guilty. Jury instruction number 6. A defendant in a criminal trial has a constitutional right not to be compelled to testify. The decision whether to testify is left to the defendant, acting with the advice and assistance of the defendant's lawyer. You must not draw any inference of guilt from the fact that the defendant may not testify, nor should this fact be discussed by you or enter into your deliberations in any way. Jury instruction number 7. If during the trial I may say or do anything which suggests to you that I am inclined to favor the claims or positions of any party, you will not permit yourself to be influenced by any such suggestion. I will not express nor intend to express, nor will I intend to intimate any opinion as to which witnesses are or are not worthy of belief, what facts are or are not established, or what inferences should be drawn from the evidence. If any expression of mine seems to indicate an opinion relating to any of these matters, I will instruct you to disregard it. Jury instruction number 8. Your duties are to determine the facts, to apply the law set forth in my instructions to those facts, and in this way to decide the case. In doing so, you must follow my instructions regardless of your own opinion of what the law is or should be, or what either side may state the law to be. You must consider them as a whole, not picking out one and disregarding others. The order in which the instructions are given has no significance as to their relative importance. The law requires that your decision be made solely upon the evidence before you. Neither sympathy nor prejudice should influence you in your deliberations. Faithful performance by you of these duties is vital to the administration of justice. In determining the facts, you may consider only the evidence admitted in this trial. This evidence consists of the testimony of the witnesses, the exhibits offered and received, and any stipulated or admitted facts. The production of evidence in court is governed by rules of law. At times during the trial, an objection may be made to a question asked a witness, or to a witness's answer, or to an exhibit. This simply means I'm being asked to decide a particular rule of law. Arguments on the admissibility of evidence are designed to aid the court and are not to be considered by you nor affect your deliberations. If I sustain an objection to a question or to an exhibit, the witness may not answer the question, or the exhibit may not be considered. Do not attempt to guess what the answer might have been or what the exhibit might have shown. Similarly, if I tell you not to consider a particular statement or exhibit, you should put it out of your mind and not refer to it or rely on it in your later deliberations. During the trial, I may have to talk with the parties about the rules of law which should apply to this case. Sometimes that will occur over on the corner there, and we do have a device here that whites out the noise so you can't hear us speaking there. At other times, I'll excuse you from the courtroom so that you can be comfortable while we work out any problems with evidence. You are not to speculate about any such discussions. They are necessary from time to time to help the trial run more smoothly. Some of you have probably heard the terms circumstantial evidence, direct evidence, and hearsay evidence. Do not be concerned with these terms. You are to consider all the evidence admitted in this trial. However, the law does not require you to believe all of the evidence. As the sole judges of the facts, you must determine what evidence you believe and what weight you attach to it. There is no magical formula by which one may evaluate testimony. You bring with you to this courtroom all the experience and background of your lives. In your everyday affairs, you determine for yourselves whom you believe, what you believe, and how much weight you attach to what you are told. The same considerations that you use in your everyday dealings in making these decisions are the considerations which you must apply in your deliberations. In deciding what you believe, do not make your decisions simply because more witnesses may have testified one way than the other. Your role is to think about the testimony of each witness you heard and decide how much you believe of what the witness had to say. A witness who has special knowledge in a particular matter may give an opinion on that matter. In determining the weight to be given such an opinion, you should consider the qualifications and credibility of the witness and the reasons given for the opinion. You are not bound by such opinion. Give it the weight, if any, to which you deem it entitled. Jury instruction number 9, at the conclusion of the trial, you will decide as to each charge whether the state has proved the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. The subject of penalty or punishment is not to be discussed or considered by you in making these decisions. That is a matter which must not in any way affect your verdict. Jury instruction number 10. The state is seeking the death penalty in this case. If the defendant is convicted of murder in the first degree, there will then be a separate sentencing phase of the trial. At that sentencing phase, additional evidence may be presented and the jury will be given additional instructions. At the conclusion of that hearing, the jury will then decide if the defendant will be sentenced to death. If the jury decides that the defendant will not be sentenced to death, either the defendant will be sentenced to a term of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, or the judge will sentence the defendant to a term of life imprisonment during which the defendant could not be paroled for at least 10 years and possibly for life. Jury instruction number 11. If you wish, you may take notes to help you remember what witnesses said. If you do take notes, please keep them to yourself until after you and your fellow jurors go to the jury room to decide the case. You should not let note-taking distract you so that you do not hear other answers by witnesses. When you leave at night, you'll leave your notes here with the bailiffs. If you do not take notes, you should rely on your own memory of what was said and not be overly influenced by the notes of other jurors. In addition, you cannot assign one person the duty of taking notes for all of you. Jury instruction number 12. It is important that as jurors and officers of this court, you obey the following instructions at any time you leave the jury box, whether it be for recesses of the court during the day or when you leave the courtroom to go home at night. First, do not talk about the case among yourselves or with anyone else during the course of the trial. You should keep an open mind throughout the trial and not form or express an opinion about the case. You should only reach your decision after you have heard all the evidence, after you've heard my final instructions, and after the final arguments. You may discuss this case with the other members of the jury only after it is submitted to you for your decision. All such discussions should take place in the jury room. Second, do not let any person talk about the case in your presence. If anyone does talk about it to you, tell them you're a juror of the case. If they won't stop talking, then report that to the bailiff or courtroom staff here as soon as you're able to do that. You should not tell your fellow jurors about what has happened. Third, during this trial, do not talk with any of the parties, their lawyers, or any witnesses. By this, I mean not only do not talk about the case, but do not talk at all, even to pass the time of day. In no other way can all parties be assured of the fairness they are entitled to expect from you as jurors. Fourth, during this trial, do not make any investigation of this case or inquiry outside of the courtroom on your own. Do not go to any place mentioned in the testimony without an order of the court to do so. You must not consult any books, records, internet, or any other source of information unless I specifically authorize you to do so. Fifth, do not read about the case in the newspapers. Do not listen to radio or television broadcasts about the trial. You must base your verdict solely on what is presented in court and not upon any newspaper, radio, television, or other media account of what may have happened. Each day you will be required, as I mentioned, to sign an affirmation that you will follow this admonition of the court. That concludes the court's first instructions then, and as I mentioned, you will be provided copies of those when you deliberate for further reference. Next, at this time then, I am going to have the clerk read the amended and redacted indictment to you. Madam Clerk, if you're ready to read the amended indictment, please do that at this time.
The District Court of the 7th Judicial District of the State of Idaho and for the County of Fremont. State of Idaho plaintiff versus Chad Daybell defendant, case number CR 22211623, amended indictment. Chad Daybell is accused by the grand jury of Fremont County of this indictment as follows. Count 1, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and grand theft by deception. The defendants, Chad Daybell and or Lori Vallow and or Alex Cox, deceased, and or other co-conspirators, both known and unknown, on or between the dates of October 26, 2018, and continuing until January 15, 2020, in the County of Madison, State of Idaho, and elsewhere, including Fremont County, Idaho, and as part of the continuing criminal transaction and common scheme or plan in Madison and Fremont counties, Idaho. Did willfully and knowingly combine, conspire, confederate, and agree to commit murder in the first degree of Tylee Ryan and to commit grand theft by deception. Count 2, first degree murder. The defendant, Chad Guy Daybell, on or between the 8th and 9th day of September 2019 in the county of Madison, state of Idaho, and as part of a common scheme or plan for continuing criminal transactions in Madison and Fremont counties in Idaho, were concerned in the commission of a first degree murder and did aid and abet in its commission, or not being present, advised and encouraged its commission, or by command compelled another to commit the crime and did so with malice aforethought, and did so willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation, which resulted in the death of a human being, to wit, either kill Tylee Ryan and or assist in the killing of Tylee Ryan and or did encourage the killing of Tylee Ryan and or did command another to kill Tylee Ryan in violation of Idaho. Count 3, conspiracy to commit first degree murder and grand theft by deception. The defendants, Chad Guy Daybell and or Lori Noreen Vallow and or Alex Cox, deceased, and or other co-conspirators, both known and unknown, on or between the dates of October 26, 2018 and continuing until January 15, 2020, excuse me, in the county of Madison, state of Idaho, and elsewhere, including Fremont County, Idaho, and as part of a continuing criminal transaction and common scheme or plan in Madison and Fremont counties, Idaho, that willfully and knowingly combine, conspire, confederate, and agree to commit murder in the first degree of Joshua Jackson Vallow, hereinafter JJ Vallow, and to commit grand theft by deception. Count 4, first degree murder. The defendant, Chad Guy Daybell, on or between the 8th and 9th day of September 2019 in the county of Madison, state of Idaho, and as part of a common scheme or plan for continuing criminal transactions between Madison and Fremont counties in Idaho, were concerned in the commission of a first degree murder and did aid and abet in its commission, were not being present, advised and encouraged its commission, or by command compelled another to commit the crime, and did so with malice aforethought, and did so willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation, which resulted in the death of a human being. To wit, did either kill JJ Vallow and or assist in the killing of JJ Vallow, and or did encourage the killing of JJ Vallow, and or did command another to kill JJ Vallow in violation of Idaho code. Count 5, conspiracy to commit first degree murder. The defendants, Chad Guy Daybell and or Lori Noreen Vallow and or Alex Cox, deceased, and or other co-conspirators, both known and unknown, on or between the dates of October 26, 2018 and continuing until January 15, 2020 in the county of Fremont, state of Idaho, and elsewhere, including Madison County, Idaho, and as part of continuing criminal transaction in common scheme or plan in Fremont and Madison counties, Idaho, did willfully and knowingly combine, conspire, confederate, and agree to commit murder in the first degree of Tammy Daybell, and did combine or conspire to commit murder, and one or more of such persons did an act to effect the object, combination, or conspiracy. Count 6, first degree murder. The defendant, Chad Guy Daybell, on October 18 to 19, 2019, in the county of Fremont, state of Idaho, was concerned in the commission of first degree murder and did aid and abet in its commission, or not being present, advised and encouraged its commission, or by command compelled another to commit the crime, and did so with malice aforethought, and did so willfully, deliberately, and with premeditation, which resulted in the death of a human being, to wit, did either kill Tammy Daybell and or assist in the killing of Tammy Daybell, and or did encourage the killing of Tammy Daybell, and or did command another to kill Tammy Daybell in violation of Idaho code. Count 7, insurance fraud. The defendant, Chad Guy Daybell, on or about October 19, 2019 through October 30, 2019, in the county of Madison, state of Idaho, did with the intent to defraud or deceive an insurer for the purpose of obtaining any money or benefit, insurer or other person, a statement as part of or in support of a claim for payment or benefit, knowing that such statement contained false, incomplete, or misleading information concerning any fact or thing material to such claim, to wit, it present and or cause to be presented an insurance beneficiary form to Life Map Assurance Company in violation of Idaho code. Count 9, insurance fraud. That the defendant, Chad Guy Daybell, on or about October 19, 2019 through October 31, 2019, in the county of Madison, state of Idaho, did with the intent to defraud or deceive an insurer for the purpose of obtaining any money or benefit, insurer, or other person, a statement as part of or in support of a claim for payment or benefit, knowing that such statement contained false, incomplete, or misleading information concerning any fact or material thing to such claim, to wit, it present and or cause to be presented an insurance beneficiary form to Primerica Life Insurance Company in violation of Idaho code. Signed as a true bill on the 24th day of May, 2021, and signed by the deputy presiding grand juror, acting as presiding grand juror in Fremont County, state of Idaho. And to these charges, the defendant has entered a plea of not guilty.
All right, thank you very much, Madam Clerk, for reading the redacted amended indictment. In this case, again, I will advise the jurors, remember the indictment is a description of charges. It is not evidence. That concludes the court's opening instructions and the reading of the indictment. The jury's been sworn as well. The next matter we would take up then are opening statements. We inquire of the state, is the state ready to proceed with openings?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who will be giving the opening statement?
I will remember.
Very well. Mr. Williams, you may present your opening.
And here we go. Here we go. Let's ready to roll. Let's get ready to roll. Oh, they added the third screen back. I'd say
Your
he's
Honor,
gonna-
may I inquire, is there a hand mic so that I may address the jury?
I think we do have one.
he's
Might take
gonna
us a moment to get it over to you.
stand at the podium, I'm sure.
And then I do have a PowerPoint attached.
All right.
And thank you so much to everybody that's joined. Hey, and welcome anyone that's popped in recently. Please make sure to give the video a thumbs up. Share this with your Doomsday Prophet friends that follow this case, so to speak. Yeah, would love for you guys to do that. Pass the word, share the word, and let them know we're a fun bunch over here at the Crime Cafe. Love you guys. Let's continue.
May I proceed your phone? Yes, it's from the HDMI. May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, you.
2 dead children buried in the defendant Chad Daybell's backyard in September of 2019. The next month, his wife is found dead in their marital bed. 17 days after the death of his wife, Tammy Daybell, this defendant is photographed laughing and dancing on a beach in Hawaii at his wedding. Tylee Vallow, a woman who was his mistress and the mother of the children, buried in the graves on his property. 3 dead bodies. This defendant believed he had a right beyond the ordinary. When he had a chance at what he considered his rightful destiny, he made sure that no person or no law would stand in his way. His desire for sex, money, and power led him to pursue those ambitions. And this pursuit led to the deaths of his wife and Lori's 2 innocent children. Chad Daybell is an author who wrote books about the apocalypse. During this trial, you will hear a story more troubling. And the story is real. Chapter 1. The defendant was a seemingly ordinary man. You'll see that he craved significance. He worked in journalism and he worked as a sexton in a graveyard. He married his wife Tammy in 1990 after meeting at Brigham Young University, and they settled in Utah. As a full-time homemaker and mother, Tammy's love for her family was boundless. Together, Tammy and the defendant started a small publishing company, which Tammy supported in many ways. They had 5 children together. They moved to Idaho, where Tammy became a beloved school librarian. She was devoted to service, her community, and her faith. But for this defendant, that ordinary existence was not enough. Chapter 2. Lori Vallow was a homemaker from Arizona. Your Honor, this mic just...
Sorry, Mr. Lee. Let's see if we get a replacement mic.
I got it working now.
Okay.
I noticed that the PowerPoint is not up.
Yeah, I think your mic's off. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't turn it off this time, so
You might have a bad battery.
Nothing
You want
worse.
to from the screen as well.
Your Honor, it's up on the screen, and it's plugged into the HDMI. I'm not sure why it's not. Transfer. I don't know if there's any one person out with that.
Let's see if we can get some help to maybe see if we can get the signal to work on that.
Sorry. Can I proceed?
Yeah, but I'm still not sure on the mic. Is that mic working?
Check.
Okay, thanks.
Apologies for the interruption, writing down. Chapter 2. Lori Vallow was a homemaker from Arizona. She was married to her 4th husband, Charles Vallow, and she was the mother to Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow. Tylee was a normal, vibrant teenage girl. She loved her friends. You'll hear that she loved her Jeep. She loved Chipotle. She loved her little brother, JJ. JJ was a 7-year-old boy on the autism spectrum. He required extensive special care and need. He loved his sister. You'll hear about a pivotal date that set in motion the deaths of Tammy, Tylee, and JJ. October 26, 2018. That was the day when Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow met at a religious conference in St. George, Utah, where they were introduced by a mutual acquaintance. At this time, both still married to other spouses. That introduction set in motion the reality you're going to hear about. We know what happened next through the defendant's own words. You'll hear. Though both married, Chad and Lori began to have an affair. You will hear excerpts from the defendant's extended text messages to Lori that reveal his mindset and his motivations. In his thirst for sex, power, and money, Chad created an alternate reality where they called themselves James and Elena, names that Chad claimed were from past lives they had put together. The defendant's text messages reveal their story of lust and their plan for a future together. Chad Daybell wrote that upon meeting Lori Vallow, he experienced a happiness unmatched by anything else in his 50 years. He was captivated by her appearance, so much so he said she was out of his league. You will hear evidence in his own words how he was taken by her beauty and spoke about their sexual encounters on many occasions. More than anything else, Chad's obsession with Lori was rooted in her adoration for him. She was the mirror reflecting the grandeur he saw in himself. He called her an exalted goddess. He told her in writing that she had returned to earth to perform a special mission. And part of that mission included being with him. They soon came together and turned their dreams into a plan for the future. One free from what they called obstacles. And those obstacles were Tylee, JJ, and Tammy. Chapter 3. You'll hear that in the world that Chad and Lori planned for themselves, they identified those who stood in the way of their dream as dark. Their spouses, Lori's own children, and any who opposed them were labeled sometimes as dark spirits or even zombies. This was more than an alleged belief of frightening labor. The evidence will show that it was a convenient narrative that dehumanized people who stood in their way and who were labeled as obstacles. This narrative gave them the pretext to remove people from this world for their own good. Chad and Lori preached that only through spiritual intervention, what they sometimes call casting, sometimes through burning, or even through death, that these dark spirits be cleansed. Enter Alex Cox, Lori's devoted brother. Chad and Lori manipulated Alex with promises of spiritual rewards. They wielded their influence over Alex, drawing him into their plotting and planning of their own future. After the deaths of Tylee, JJ, and Tammy, Chad Daybell gave Alex a blessing. This blessing was reported by Lori, who was present. And in that blessing, he said to Alex, "You have earned the privilege to be a member of their exclusive religious group." And he also said to him, "You have already assisted us in ways that can never be repaid." But you will also see other text messages. Chad and Lori discussed more earthly concerns, that Alex could be the one to implicate them. Alex knew this as well. Shortly before he died, on December 12th, 2019, he told his wife, Zulana Pastenis, who you will hear from, he was afraid he was going to be Chad and Lori's fall guy. Chapter 4. Once their calculated plan was devised, it only took months to execute and remove perceived obstacles in Chad Daybell's path to a new life. Charles Vallow, Lori's husband, who was labeled as dark by the defendant, was shot and killed by Alex Cox in Arizona. Lori stood to gain $1 million, money that could fund Chad and Lori's future. Yet following Charles's death, Lori Vallow awaited a $1 million life insurance payout that never came, only to learn that the beneficiary was no longer her. Upon learning she would not receive that insurance money, Lori would text Chad, "I'll still get the $4,000 a month from SS, meaning Social Security." Chad replied to her in a text that read, "It will be interesting to see if it got changed after he had 2 bullets in his chest." Tylee Ryan, also branded dark and a zombie, was last seen on September 8th, 2019. Subsequent investigations revealed the horrifying truth. Her remains, charred and dismembered, were found in a grave on Chad Daybell's property. Without Charles's $1 million in insurance money to support them, Lori Vallow continued to illegally receive Tylee's Social Security benefits, provided after the death of Tylee's biological father, who had been Lori's third husband. According to this defendant, JJ Vallow, Lori's son, was also possessed. After he was labeled as a dark entity, his fate was no less tragic than his sister's. His young life was also claimed. Later, his bound body was discovered buried in Chad's backyard, his death by suffocation. Yet while JJ was missing, Lori continued to illegally receive JJ's Social Security benefit, money provided by Charles Vallow's dad. Tammy Daybell, a vivacious, healthy mother, was another individual labeled as a dark spirit to be removed. On October 9th of 2019, she reported being shot at night near her home by a man covered in black. She thought it was a paintball gun. On October 19th, 10 days later, she died in her own home with her husband present. This was soon after an increase in the value of her life insurance to more than $400,000. This defendant rapidly cashed in that life insurance and began looking for condos in Hawaii with Lori. You'll see the rental application he submitted for a couple with no kids. Medical examiners would later determine that the only reasonable explanation for Tammy's death was not of natural causes, but rather a homicide. In fact, you will hear from multiple witnesses that Chad predicted multiple times that Tammy would die an early death. Chapter 5. 17 days after his wife's death, Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow got married and celebrated on the beach in Hawaii, Hawaii, symbolizing what he called their eternal union. Chad and Lori were preparing their wedding well before Tammy's death. Lori was shopping for wedding rings while Tammy was still alive. Now, without the earthly obstacles of spouses and young children, and with Tammy's insurance policy and the children's Social Security funds, they could live the life that Chad and Lori wanted. Nothing was going to stand in their way. Chapter 6. Unfortunately for this defendant, reality soon shattered their bliss. Two things led law enforcement to his and Lori's door. On October 2nd, 2019, Lori Vallow's nephew-in-law, a man named Brandon Boudreaux, was shot at in Arizona by someone from what he believed was Tylee's Jeep. Law enforcement in Arizona investigating Brandon's shooting contacted law enforcement in Fremont County, Idaho, to look for Alex Cox and for Tylee's Jeep. And you'll hear that that Jeep was later found in Rexford, Idaho, in Madison County. Meanwhile, JJ Vallow's grandmother, concerned that she hadn't seen or heard from him in months, asked police for help. The police followed up and located Lori in Rexford, Idaho, where the police did a welfare check at Lori's apartment. Law enforcement arrived at Lori's door on November 26, 2019. When asked about Lori, Chad first told law enforcement he didn't know her very well, despite the fact that they were married and had been in a relationship for over a year. Lies by Lori to police about JJ and Tylee's whereabouts, and then a move to Hawaii, and Lori's unwillingness to present her children to law enforcement to prove their well-being led to her arrest and extradition. As Lori refused to produce her children, law enforcement continued their search for Tylee and JJ. During that search, they located a unique text message that this defendant, Chad Daybell, had sent to his wife, Tammy, on September 9, 2019, which was the day after Tylee Ryan's last known appearance. You'll hear from the FBI agent who found that message, but this message seemed longer than his usual text to Tammy, and it had a more conversational tone. In that text, Chad claimed he'd had an interesting morning, that he'd shot a raccoon, that he'd buried it in what they called the pet cemetery, and that he had a fire on the property where he burned some wood debris. When law enforcement finally went to the defendant's property the following June, they didn't find a raccoon. They found Tylee's burnt remains that were buried in that cemetery. And they found JJ nearby, buried under a tree near a pond. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been told this would be a lengthy trial. You will hear from many witnesses. You will hear a lot of evidence. You're going to hear a lot of dates. The following is just a timeline of major events to help understand when these things took place. October 26, 2018, Chad and Lori meet in St. George, Utah. July 11, 2019, Charles Vallow, Lori's husband, is shot and killed by Alex Cox. Between August 31st and September 1st, Lori, Alex Cox, and Tylee and JJ moved to Rexburg, Idaho, just a few miles south of the defendant's home. Tylee's last known sighting was September 8, 2019. The text I just spoke of about the raccoon was sent by the defendant to his wife September 9, 2019. JJ's last known sighting you'll hear about September 22nd. The attempted homicide of Brandon Boudreaux in Arizona was October 2nd. The shooting I mentioned of Tammy, the shooting at her, the unsuccessful shooting, October 9th, 2019. Tammy's death, October 19th, 2019. 17 days later, Chad and Lori marry in Hawaii. Law enforcement did a welfare check looking for JJ November 26, 2019 in Rexburg, Idaho. November 26th and 27th, Chad and Lori leave town. June 9th, 2020, Tylee and JJ's remains are found on Chad's property. As I said, you're going to hear a lot of evidence from a lot of witnesses. And there's going to be kind of different groups of evidence you're going to hear from. You'll hear from law enforcement, some of whom will give you a broad overview of the investigation and what they did, how the search for Tylee and JJ drew to a case of murder. You'll hear how it began by people who knew Lori and Chad, the James and Elena. You'll hear about the James and Elena story and about their relationship with each other and how they pursued their dream, their plan for a life together. You'll hear in the defendant's own words, people referred to as obstacles, how they need to be gotten rid of. You're going to hear financial evidence. You'll hear from an FBI forensic accountant and a detective, a Social Security administrative investigator who will talk about the finances involved in this case. You'll hear more from law enforcement, from multiple law enforcement agencies, the Rexburg Police, the Fremont County Sheriff's Department, the FBI, Social Security Administration, about the investigation into these crimes. You will see forensic evidence. You'll see DNA testing to identify the body of Tylee. You'll see DNA testing that showed that DNA from Tylee was found on at least 2 tools in the defendant's shed. You'll hear digital evidence dealing with geolocation data tied to certain phones that were used in this case. You'll hear from Hawaii law enforcement about searches they performed in Hawaii on the defendant and his wife. And finally, you will hear many of this defendant's own words. You will hear voice recordings of this defendant. You'll hear, recorded phone calls between him and his wife, Tammy Daybell. You'll read multiple texts that he and Lori sent back. Another text he sent. Chapter 9, what's unwritten. The defendant stands before you today, charged with multiple crimes. First-degree murder for the death of Tammy Daybell. First-degree murder for the death of Tylee Ryan. First-degree murder for the death of JJ Vallow. Conspiracy to commit murder of Tammy Daybell. Conspiracy to commit murder and grand theft by deception, the death of Tylee Ryan. Conspiracy to commit murder and grand theft by deception for the death of JJ Vallow, and insurance fraud. Two dead children buried in this defendant's backyard. The next month, his wife dead in their bed. 17 days later, this defendant marries Lori Vallow. Members of the jury, days or probably weeks from now, when the evidence in this trial is fully unfolded, we will have the opportunity to speak with you again. And at that time, we will ask you to end this horrible narrative. Your verdict will be the link that writes the final chapter of this tragic saga. A chapter that delivers justice for Tammy, justice for JJ, and justice for Tylee. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wood. That will conclude the opening statement of the state. Mr. Pryor, a couple of questions. First, is the defense going to give an opening statement now or defer until later? And second, if you are going to give an opening statement, would you prefer we take a mid-morning recess or go forward?
Judge, could we take a short recess? And I have a statement.
Okay, I think this is a good time then for our mid-morning break. We'll go ahead and take that now. And then once that's concluded, Mr. Pryor can give us a statement to the defense.
All rise.
All right. Time for our mid-morning break. Time for our mid-morning break, you guys. That was a very quick, that was a very quick opening. I really thought that that was going to be much longer than that. Usually they are much longer. So I'm a little bit like, and you guys, yeah, same for me. He was like making me sleepy. He was making me a little dozy off. Yes, we're on a break, Henny. Yes, we're on a break. Margaret says, I'm a Guilty Lemon by Chad Daybell. Mm-hmm. 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 All right. Oh my goodness, we have a visitor in the cafe this morning. Hold on. Hold on, let me add her. Let me add her. It's Steph.
Hello.
Hi, cutie.
Hi.
How are you feeling?
I'm okay, but that guy was boring as heck.
He was boring. I know.
I hope the other one's more interesting.
Well, I mean, meh. I'm kind of anxious to see what his story is.
Yeah, oh. I don't think he was the right choice for opening.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I feel like that maybe it would have been better if the Lindsay Blake chick would have done it because she's got a little bit more, I don't know, she's just easier to listen to. Kind of a wake you up. The cheesy eggs. The cheesy
The
eggs
cheesy
lady.
eggs.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not impressed so far.
Margaret said he was like a warm lemonade. Yeah.
He's like warm homemade lemonade, which
Uh,
is a joke because one time when Aiden was a baby, we had to take him to the hospital because he had congestive heart failure. Um, and Matt had to pee, and we were on the highway. And with me, my mom, and my sister, and baby Aiden in the car, he peed into a bottle, an empty drink bottle. So we called it
oh,
homemade lemonade.
oh my God. Yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck.
That's what Chad Daybell is.
Mm. He's something else. What do you think, Steph? What do you think that their defense is going to get up and say? What do you think that their opening statement is going to consist of?
I have no idea. I know it's going to be a lot of blaming Lori.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, I think their opening is going to be a lot more engaging to listen to, which first impressions are everything, man.
Yeah, that's true.
The
That's true.
jury needed more to start with. But
Yeah, it was puny. His opening statement was kind of puny. I think it was Lindsay Blake that gave the opening statement in Lori's.
see, I didn't watch Lori's, so I don't know. All I heard from her was her questioning for getting the jury. So,
You remember when we watched it? We played it back the other day, and it started out with sex, lies,
oh, yes, yes,
power.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, she should have definitely been the one to do it.
or sex, money, and power, or something like that.
QB said probably letting him get his feet wet, which, I mean, yeah, he needs a chance to do that, but also, and they clearly have enough evidence that they probably think they have it in the bag.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But how many times have they thought they had it in the bag before? And Casey Anthony.
Right. Yeah, but with Casey though, there was so much circumstantial
Hmm.
evidence. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I wasn't there. I didn't watch the trial, but I lived in Florida at the time. And I know I was working when I found out that she was found not guilty, and I cried on the way home.
Mhm.
So I don't know how they. But a lot of people say too it was like a death penalty case.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's gonna be, I think that it's gonna be I don't know. I feel like they're gonna just nail it home, and I don't think that there's gonna I think it's just a slam dunk, in my honest opinion, but, I mean mm,
I think so too. But yeah, I think they're gonna frame it that Lori was the one who masterminded everything. And I believe that personally.
yeah. I also feel like they're gonna pin, most of the acts, the physical acts on Alex, who's already
Hmm.
gone. So,
Oh yeah.
um, I feel like they're gonna do that.
The only thing they might struggle with is the bodies in the yard, but he can say that like he was forced into it. Alex scared him and manipulated him into like you're gonna see the same fate your wife or um shoot, what's his name? Charles or the
Mhm.
kids
Mm-hmm.
saw, if you don't allow us to do this. And he had no choice. That's the only way I can see them arguing the bodies in his yard.
Yeah. I don't know. There's so many different ways they could go with it. QB says they're going to say he was under the spell of Lori. Prosecution couldn't come at him like they did Lori because they said she was the mastermind. They'll argue Chad did them because they were shallow and he was a former gravedigger.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I remember QB mentioned that the other day too, which is smart, but I think she kind of backed that statement up with, but this was you know, this was quick. We got to do this quick.
Yeah. But I mean, if this was like a premeditated thing, wouldn't they already have done a lot of the prep work?
You would think so.
I'm really curious. Like, I went looking last night because I know when they found the kids, Chad's kids defended him.
Mm-hmm.
But after it was found out that his mom was their mom was suffocated, do they still stand by him?
Yeah, I don't know.
And I can't find anything.
And I'm wondering if they're going to be called.
Ooh, possibly. I don't know if they want to call, what is it, Garth?
Yeah, I'd say he'll definitely be called because he was there the night that Tammy died.
Hopefully prosecution takes that freebie
Yeah.
if the defense is the one that brings him as a character witness, because yeah, he was trying to frame his kid.
Mm.
Yeah, it really bothers me with Tammy because Chad wouldn't have been the mini celeb he was in the Mormon community without her.
Yeah.
Because no one would publish his books. So they created their own, she and him created their own publishing house so that he could get his books published. She put work into that.
Right.
And time and money and invested in her husband, only for him to use this as a ploy to pick up chicks and get girls fangirling over him. And then Lori came in and it turned into mystery theater.
Right. Right. Mm.
Margaret will publish your books.
Oh, what is that noise, Steph? It sounds like you're literally driving a tractor.
It's a fan.
Oh,
I turned it down. Is that better?
yeah, a little bit. It did though. It sounded like I could just envision you on a tractor. That's what it sounded like.
Oh no, I'm plowing holes into my backyard for when I play surgeon.
Oh, you're already premeditating things, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna reupholster my carpet, my grass carpet in the backyard.
Oh Lord.
Just kidding.
Ween Baby says the kids brought up the shallow graves and Lori's hair was on the duct tape.
Yep.
QB said it was like the white noise machines they use in court.
We were on a break. Plowing her fields, honestly, I need to, because it's like uncharted territory right now.
Oh, geez, Louise. Here we go.
Legs too. I haven't been able to bend with this thing on my neck. So I haven't shaved in like months.
You
But
do sound like you still have a cold.
yeah, a little bit, just the cough.
Yeah. Hold on just a second. I'm going to switch my headphones around real quick. Hold on.
Okay. Hey y'all. What you doing? Kel, have you been doing the same? Like, there's no reason to anymore, so why waste the time and energy and cause the back pain?
Okay, I'm back.
She back.
I'm back.
Introducing Judge Jenny.
Ah, you're so cute.
You bang your gavel. Court is in
Oh,
session.
hold on. Quack, quack, quack.
The court of public opinion is in session.
Mm-hmm.
Do I gotta do the whole QB? Like, these are the thoughts and feelings of TMI staff. They do not reflect Jenny and the crime cafe.
Well, I guess it probably depends on what your statement's going to be. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Tad just wanted meow meow. Lori wanted stab stab. That's my opinion.
The storm.
The storm.
Ugh.
And his orgasm is called Sunjoy.
Oh my God.
So, for those who don't know and don't have Chick-fil-A, Sunjoy is a drink at Chick-fil-A, and it's half sweet tea and half lemonade, or Arnold Palmer or whatever, but their name for it is Sunjoy.
Oh my God. I've heard of that before.
Yes, Kel. See?
We don't have a Chick-fil-A close by though.
No?
No, I mean not super close.
Okay.
Yeah, makes me sad.
I think her meow meow is the field that needs plowing, because his thing is the storm. So hers has to be what the storm affects. Okay, I'm sorry. I missed what you said because I was responding to Ween Baby.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just saying that we don't have one super close by.
But yeah, I see you, Kel. I see you. I don't have an appointment with them for another couple months, so one of the benefits of being single, being like, shit, I don't need to shave for nobody. Ooh, shoot, I don't need to shave for nobody.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, and then all this other stuff going on. So I'm like, I ain't got nobody to impress. I don't want nobody to impress. Don't shave. Save that time for diamond painting and sleeping.
That would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a lot of fun.
Jenny's like, yeah, Dale gets confused if my hair gets too long.
Oh, Lord, have
He wants to
mercy.
go hunting in there sometimes.
You kill me. You absolutely kill me.
I love you. I'm sorry. I'm on
Mm.
Percocet and I took a high strength CBD, which CBD is not supposed to do anything to you, but this one is like for focus.
Oh, yeah, I need some of that.
And yeah, definitely focus, but also internal thoughts go out.
Oh, well, I kind of need that.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I've heard there's some people who never have them.
Internal thoughts?
Yeah.
What do you mean never have them?
Like their brain just never thinks of anything. They just say or do whatever they think. They just act on it. It's not a voice that. Is that what it's like to be normal and not traumatized?
I don't know.
To just silence in your brain?
I
Because
don't know because
you're
that
really
doesn't.
missing out, guys.
Yeah, that doesn't happen for me. That doesn't
No,
happen for me.
no, my brain does not stop. In fact, sometimes I hate talking because, and this is why I don't like doing videos on the channel and stuff, is because my brain goes so much faster than my mouth that I jumble words and it's embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah. I can do that pretty easily. I can do that really, or I'm really bad about like, I'll have a word right on, like a normal everyday word. I'll have right on the tip of my tongue and I can't not spit it out. I'm like, it just sits there. And I'm like, that word that blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I get that too. I think that's when your brain like burns out.
Brain burnout. That's not good. Haley, welcome,
It's
welcome,
like it's
welcome.
going like crazy so bad, and then every once in a while it's just like, huh, and that's when you can't find the word
Mm,
because it's somewhere in there and that thing ain't working right now.
right. Or sometimes if I can't remember a person's name, like a celebrity name or something, I'll start going through the alphabet.
Really?
Yeah, and that helps me. I'm like A, B, C, D. Yeah, and then a lot of times whenever I get to the right letter, I'm like, "Oh yeah, it was Shania Twain." I don't know why I just came up with that name, but I mean, that's just all of a sudden, boom.
I should do that sometimes because there are times that like I don't remember the name, but I'm like, it definitely starts with this letter.
Mhm.
So when I don't remember the letter, maybe if I go through the alphabet, the letter will pick up.
Mhm. It does it more often than not for me. Sometimes no, but most of the time it works. I
I
don't
I,
know.
I want to know in the chat if there's anybody they don't have internal thoughts or inner monologue.
Mm,
Probably not because we're all diamond painters for the most part. I think.
yeah.
I don't think there's a single person in here that doesn't diamond paint now that we got Margaret converted.
Well, Shiraz hasn't yet.
Oh, that's right. Shiraz is probably over on Bob's right now because he's also streaming the trial.
Yeah.
Um, Morgana, stop it. I know that's not true.
Mm. Lee, thanks for the virtual snacks. Thank you.
Yum. Next. Um, oh, Patricia hasn't diamond painted yet. Okay.
Mm.
But it
And
seems like
Lauren is a rookie.
the vast majority of us have anxiety or some other kind of depression, uh, what is it? Social, like, I don't know, just issues where your brain is like constantly like voices in your head
Oh
telling you
yeah.
lies, telling you lies. and stories.
Yeah, that my brain's good for that.
Yeah, I think life would be so much more peaceful if they didn't.
Mm. Oh, hold on. I gotta send this. I forgot.
You sending an SOS to get QB in here?
No, I forgot to actually. Kel is off work this week, and I
Oh, I
forgot
didn't.
to send her the link. Yeah, I did forget to
Wait.
send that to her.
Yeah, she's not off work though. She's still working, but the boss is out of town. But the boss can watch on the cameras.
Oh yeah.
I hope she doesn't have one in the bathroom.
That would not be good.
No.
But yeah, I did have to go grab the link for her and send it. I forgot to send it. Hold on. I forgot.
Gail. For real. Aiden does that a lot too. But it's because of his autism. But yeah, sometimes I'll do it. Aiden does it a lot. Like I have to teach him like what you're thinking is not the same thing as what everybody else is thinking.
Mm,
I'm on 150 milligrams of Zoloft and I still don't love me and the voices are still there.
yeah, I'm on 100 of Zoloft, but
Yeah, I'm telling you these CBD things.
oh, Kel did pop in. Hold on just a second.
Hell.
Hey,
Hi,
ma'am.
everyone. Hey.
Hey,
How are
Cal.
you?
Tell your boss if she's listening to stop being such a voyeur.
So I'm at work and I'm dog sitting for my boss. So I'm pretty much living here. So yeah.
Oh wow.
Is your daughter freaking out?
No, I mean, I go home every evening to feed the dog and the cats and check in on everyone. So
Okay.
yeah, they're fine. They're grown, you know. They probably like it that I'm not there.
Hmm. They're like doing the whole I'm home. I'll play house for a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the
It's just sometimes
honeymoon
with a
kind of.
firstborn, it's like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this thing.
Mm.
Oh, they're pretty self-sufficient at this
Yeah.
point.
Good.
Yeah.
What did you think of the opening statements, Keller? Did you get a chance to watch them?
Yeah, I was here. I agree with what everyone said. It was just lackluster. It was no emotion. It was very like he was reading out of a textbook. So I didn't really appreciate that, but you know, it is what it is. It's all about the evidence and what the evidence shows. So, I mean, I think part of it should be a little bit of a show, you
Mhm.
know, and like show some passion for what you do and what you believe in. But,
Mhm.
you know, what are you going to do?
And the
Yeah.
lives that you're talking about that were taken.
Right. Yeah. This is serious stuff.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I agree. I also kind of wonder if part of it is that they're just not sick of it. They've been dealing with Vallow Daybell for all these years now.
Yeah, true. They might just be phoning it in.
But
I
at
get
the
that,
same
but
time,
it's like if you've been preparing for, like, say you're an actor or an actress and you've been studying the lines and studying the script, this is your time to like shine. And this is what all that preparation was actually for, you know?
Yeah, especially like if
Let's,
having all those dates in your head,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
you
but
could just like pull out like on this day, this person, and then pause for effect. Let it
right.
sink in.
mhm, mhm,
That's all he would
Exactly.
have needed. Just like at least a little more oomph in his voice and a pause for effect after
yeah,
every disappearance or major occurrence, like the Tammy and Brandon.
yeah.
Tammy first time that we know of.
Hold on a second. I'm going to have to unplug my headphones again. I'm trying to get used to these. I keep going back and forth between no headphones and headphones, and it's driving me
Thank you.
crazy.
Please be seated.
Oh, we're
Nope, they're
back,
back.
guys. We're back.
Mute.
Please have the jury, bro.
Yes, Your Honor.
All rise.
Very present and accounted for. All right, thank you. Please be seated. We've concluded our morning recess. We're back on the record on KCR 22-21-16-23. State of Idaho versus Chad Daybell. This is the time we'll next have opening statements by the defense. Mr. Pryor, is the defense ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. May I have the post permission to enter the well?
You may.
Thank you.
And maybe check that microphone to make sure it is working. Okay? There we go.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As an introduction, I'm John Pryor. I'm the defense attorney for Mr. Daybell. And I'm from Meridian, Idaho. I'm an attorney from Meridian, Idaho, over here on the west side of the state. I want to talk to you a little bit today. And at my age, video presentations are not something that would come easy to me. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about my view of the case and the facts and evidence. And what's important are facts and evidence. I think that when we went through the jury selection process, we talked about facts and we talked about evidence. And the judge gave you an instruction to talk to you a little bit about you take into consideration the facts of this case and not be distracted by other things. Don't be distracted by speculation. Don't be distracted by guesses or assumptions or hunches. It all comes down to facts and evidence. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the facts and evidence in this case. Chad Daybell, and I'm learning this, and I've had some time to learn about this because it didn't come natural to me. But Chad Daybell went on what's called a mission early on in his life. And I guess what a mission is, I'm not familiar with that, but I guess what a mission is they go away to a location and they talk to people about their religious beliefs. And Chad's faith, that was important as part of his faith. And when they return from these missions, they start the process of moving on with their lives. And when Chad got back from doing his mission in New Jersey, he met Tammy Daybell. Another fact that I discovered, and you'll hear a little bit about, is that Chad had an extended engagement, had an extended by his faith standards romance before they got married. Chad and Tammy dated for approximately 6 months. And what I understand is by their nature, 6 months is an extended dating process before you end up getting married. So after 6 months, they got married. They were married in Utah and proceeded then to have children. They have 5 children, now all 5 adult children. At some point, they moved back here to Idaho, or moved to Idaho, and they started a small publishing company. And you'll hear testimony that the publishing company was predominantly run by Tammy. Tammy managed it. Tammy was the brains behind the company. And Tammy basically took the reins and did everything that was necessary to move this publishing company. It was a small publishing company, a very small publishing company. And what they did is basically publish books. Chad would write these books, and he would write these books about his religious experiences. In his faith, he had certain beliefs, the faith that he practiced. You know, when he went on his mission, when he, read his interpretation of the books that he used for his faith, he started writing books about things that were consistent with his faith. Things like premonitions. We've all heard of premonitions, about being able to predict things, about being able to see maybe when things happen. And some people believe in that, some people don't. Some people have personally experienced that, where I've been here before. But he writes about his premonitions. He writes about good and evil, and what it means to be good, and what it means to be evil. He writes about dark and light. He writes about subjects that are a little darker, like death, and maybe the coming of the end of things, and when his Savior in his mind is going to come back, and maybe there'll be some kind of a redemption of some sort. But his books covered a lot of subjects like that, and they were all based on fiction. In other words, he was writing these books about theories and things that came into his head, and he would write these stories. But he also wrote children's books, and he wrote books for teenagers, and he wrote these books about adventures and then some crazy ideas about things that kids and teenagers get involved in. In about October of 2018, Chad was going out, and he was invited by one of the witnesses that you'll hear in this case to speak about his books. And this was not uncommon. He would travel, and he would be asked to say, well, come and talk about some of the things that you believe in. You've talked about these premonitions, some life experiences. You're going to hear testimony about that. And he was invited on one particular occasion in late October. And he attended this, and while he was there trying to sell his books, and like most of us who are business people, the focus of these meetings really was for Chad to try to get his books published, because that's how he made a living. And he was there in one of his booths trying to promote his books, and he laid them out there. And this beautifully stunning woman named Vallow comes up, and she starts giving him a lot of attention. And she pursued him. And she encouraged him. And you'll hear testimony that she went so far as to grab behind the booth and sort of help him in trying to sell some of his books. She obviously had an interest, and maybe she felt that he was this publisher, or maybe she had an opinion. You'll hear testimony about that. And then after the seminar, there was a length of time where there was no contact between the two of them, a month and a half, 2 months. And during that time, Chad Daybell went on his day-to-day life. He'd been married to Tammy for some 29 years, has no remarkable background of any kind. I think the testimony we'll offer will show he had a speeding ticket in 2005. But Vallow was a different story. Vallow was someone who, right out of high school, married her first husband. You'll hear testimony about this. That marriage was very short-lived, very short-lived. She then married husband number 2 a few years later. And again, very short-lived marriage. And there's some testimony indication that there were some same problems with the marriage that caused the breakup. But the concern seems to be, the theme seems to be that Lori's brother, Alex, and you're going to hear about Alex Cox. Alex Cox was Lori's protector. Alex Cox would do anything and everything to protect, aid, and assist Lori Vallow in whatever her endeavors, without unbridled question, anything. And if Alex Cox even perceived that there was a problem, Alex Cox reacted. You're going to hear testimony that in 2007, I believe it was in August of 2007, Lori Vallow had finished up going through her third marriage with Joseph Ryan. It was a tumultuous, you'll hear testimony that it was a tumultuous marriage, a terrible marriage. And Lori Vallow made accusations against Joseph Ryan of abusing their child, Tylee. Yes, the same Tylee. And during one of the visits in 2007, folks, and I want to tell you, you're going to hear testimony that in 2007, Chad Daybell didn't even know Lori Vallow existed. But Alex Cox, after one of the exchanges and the visitations with Tylee, Alex Cox approached Joseph Ryan and shot him with a taser and assaulted him. Was eventually charged with aggravated assault, was eventually put in jail, and had this on his record. And there was representation, the facts would suggest that at the time Joseph Ryan feared for his life. This was a serious situation. But it set the pattern for what we're dealing with Alex Cox. Whenever there was a problem or a threat to Lori Vallow, you'll hear testimony that Alex Cox came to the rescue. But Alex Cox would run without even question and do whatever was necessary to solve Lori Vallow's problems. We're going to fast forward then to 2019. Lori Vallow is still married to Charles Vallow. And the prosecuting attorney mentioned this, yes. Chad Daybell at that point, coming in January and February, started to have communications with Lori Vallow. And yes, folks, it turned into an inappropriate relationship. 2019 and forward. And yes, he was engaging in discussions. He was engaging in contact with her, all of the things that the prosecutor talked about in terms of a relationship. But subsequent to the seriousness of this relationship getting rolling, Alex Cox was at a visitation in 2019 with Charles Vallow. And Lori Vallow was there. Tylee Ryan was there. JJ was there. They were all present. And during that altercation and that supposed visit, much like with Joseph Ryan, Alex Cox took out a gun and shot Charles Vallow. And then after calling 911, he then finished the job and walked up to him at close range, finished him off. Now, you're going to hear testimony that in some way Chad Daybell was implicated in that, and you're going to hear further testimony that he was not. You're going to hear testimony and see documentation that suggests that the prosecuting attorney on review of this indicated that there is no likelihood of conviction of Chad Daybell. You'll hear testimony that Chad Daybell had nothing to do with the execution by Alex Cox, Charles Vallow. And the same for Brandon Boudreaux. You will hear that Chad Daybell is not being pursued for any involvement in the Brandon Boudreaux attempted murder. Those occurred and those are separate, as well as the Charles Vallow. So what we have is we have a situation where someone who's 29 years old, Chad Daybell, 29 years of marriage with Tammy Daybell, no discernible issues in his life. And then Lori Vallow comes in the picture, Miss Texas. You'll hear testimony about this beautiful, vivacious woman, very sexual person, and very manipulative. and she knows how to get what she wants. And she drew Chad Daybell into a relationship, and an unfortunate relationship, that Chad fell into. After that, things started rolling, and issues started happening, but eventually, yes, there was a murder, and there was a burial. And you've heard discussion about the backyard of Chad Daybell. Well, we have a 4.5-acre farm in Fremont County, Idaho. And you'll hear testimony that the body of JJ Vallow was discovered behind an irrigation pond and a tree out in the pasture. So technically, yes, maybe the backyard, but more accurately described as the pasture hidden behind a tree. You're going to hear testimony that also in the middle of this pasture was a raspberry patch, former raspberry patch, that was then turned into a place for them to bury the cats, the dogs, and all of the animals on the farm. Okay? Again, out in the pasture of the field and not the backyard. You'll hear testimony about that. You're going to hear from 4 experts that I'm going to bring forward. And these 4 experts, the first one is going to be Dr. Greg Hampenkian. And Dr. Hampenkian is a bit of a notable local from Boise State University. And Dr. Hampenkian is a DNA expert, considered one of the best DNA experts. He's been involved and has significant work that he's done on both the defense and for the prosecution. He was involved and led the team with Amanda Knox in Italy that got her exonerated because of the DNA evidence. He has substantial experience. And anybody or anyone who knows anything about DNA goes to Dr. Hampenkian first, because he is the guy. And Dr. Hampenkian is going to talk a little bit about the DNA evidence that's found on the scene. Dr. Hampenkian is going to talk about the fingerprint on the plastic that JJ Vallow was discovered in, was that of Alex Cox. Dr. Hampenkian is going to talk about the hair sample that was found on the plastic of Alex Cox, and that it was Lori Vallow. Dr. Hampenkian is going to talk about several, and I mean several other hairs that were found on the plastic of JJ Vallow. But he's also going to say that there was no DNA evidence, no hair sample of Chad Daybell on Tylee Ryan or on JJ Vallow. You're then going to hear from Dr. Raven. Dr. Raven is a forensic pathologist, and she's going to talk a little bit about the circumstances surrounding Tammy Daybell. And what Dr. Raven is going to say is that there's no indication that this is either a homicide or any other crime, and that the only conclusion she could come to is you can't determine what the cause of death was. There's no way to determine it. Tammy Daybell was buried. You'll hear testimony about that. And then a short time later, the police officers showed up and they dug her body up after she'd been buried, after she was laid to rest, and then continued after the body was pulled out of the ground and continued to examine it for whatever they were looking for. And what you're going to find is, based on that, Dr. Raven's going to say you can't determine what the cause of death is. You're going to hear testimony from the Daybell children, from the children themselves. 4 of the 5 children, I think, three or 4 of the 5 children. They're going to talk about their mother's health struggles. They're going to talk about their mother's use of various medicinal treatments that she would use, oils that she would put on her leg, medicine and different herbs that she would take, and that her mother was suffering from, a number of maladies, and that she would refuse to go see a doctor or get it treated. And Dr. Raven's going to enlighten you a little bit about some of the circumstances regarding Tammy Daybell. You're then going to hear from Patrick Eller. He's a forensic digital data examiner. And Patrick Eller is someone who has spent his life in the military working for various agencies, and we'll talk a little bit about that within the government to do data retrieval and data research. And he's going to talk a little bit about the phone records that are involved in this case. He's going to specifically talk about the travels of Alex Cox, because you are going to hear testimony that Alex Cox went to Chad Daybell's property on the 9th of September. You're going to hear that Alex Cox approached Chad Daybell's property a half a dozen other, 5 or 6 other times. You're going to hear testimony that Alex Cox was there on the 23rd. And you're going to hear where Alex Cox was in a number of other times and places in his whereabouts and his travels for about a 2.5 month period. And Patrick is going to, offer you some information and data to support all of that. And finally, you're going to hear from a forensic anthropologist, and his name's Eric Bartlink. And Mr. Bartlink is going to talk to you a little bit about the nature and the nature of how the remains of Tylee were burned. Eric Bartlink is going to talk to you a little bit about the lack of complete skeletal remains and why, when Tylee was dug down the ground, there was not a complete set of skeletal remains. In fact, there were a number of pieces of that were missing. You're going to hear a lot of evidence, and the judge has talked to us a little bit about not making a decision until you hear all of the evidence. And there's a specific jury instruction that talks about that. The jury instruction is, consider all the evidence. Listen to the instructions from the court on how you're to proceed. Listen to the arguments of the prosecuting attorney and the defense. And then and only then do you make your decision. And at the conclusion of all that evidence, and at the conclusion of the judge's instructions, the arguments of both of the defense attorneys, I'm going to ask you folks to return a verdict not guilty. Thank you, folks. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
All right, that concludes the opening statement of the defense. Then this time we will commence with presenting evidence. I understand the state does have a first witness to call. Is the state ready and prepared to do that?
Your Honor, the state is prepared. We had spoken with your clerk earlier. We thought we were going to have a brief sidebar.
Okay, let's discuss our schedule and put there in sidebar. Sure.
All right, they're on a quick sidebar. They're getting ready to start their first witness with their first witness. Oh, where did Steph go? Sorry, I was running around doing things. Had my phone with me. Looked like Steph jumped down. Kel's still here though, but she's on mute. She's probably busy. Oh, there
I'm
she.
here. I'm here.
Hey.
Hi. He had a little more passion in his voice, I felt like.
Yeah, I think he does anyway. Like we witnessed that through the jury selection, but I don't know. He pointed the finger at everybody but Chad, obviously.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to find him not guilty, Ween Baby. I just don't. There's just too much.
Yeah, I feel like it too. I don't think that there's a chance. Honestly, sorry, I got a little bit strangled. I think that by the time it comes to the closing arguments, it's going to be weeks later. They're not going to remember these opening statements.
True.
So, it just sort of sets the stage for what they're getting ready to hear, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the prosecution has got plenty of time to show everything that they need to show. And I don't have any doubt in my mind that they're going to nail him to the wall.
And like the jury instructions say, you know, the opening statements are not evidence. So,
Right. Hey, Tammy, I didn't see you pop in. I literally was running around grabbing dirty clothes, throwing clothes in the washer, had my phone with me. I was like listening to all of his stuff, rolling my eyeballs. It was like, God.
you're all out of breath when you come back.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
Multitasking.
trying. But I wish that we could see Chad's face. I mean, I don't want to look at him
Yeah,
the whole time, but I do wish that they could zoom in on him, you know,
for sure.
just for a little bit. Hold on, I got a cough again. My goodness.
Council, thanks for discussing scheduling. Our intention here will be to start with a state's first witness that apparently will take some time. So we will plan on taking a lunch hour also at right around noon if possible. So Mr. Wood, are you going to be calling the first witness?
Yes, Your Honor, the state will be calling Ray Hermosillo.
All right, well, call your witness. We'll have him come up and sworn. Sir, before safely.
This is Detective Hermosillo.
Please, Madam Clerk, raise your right hand and be sworn.
Solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
All right.
He cried during Lori's trial when he was talking about finding the kids. It was really sad.
Sir, as you testify, just remember to make a audible response to anything being questioned, so that the record stays clear, and try to avoid speaking over the top of anyone questioning you. That in mind, then, Mr. Wood, if you'd like to inquire, you may.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer, will you state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Ray Hermosillo, Hermosillo. Is that on?
Your Honor, is that microphone on?
I'm not sure. Yeah. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and start over and just talk right into the mic, please.
Detective, will you state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Ray Hermosillo, Hermosillo.
Thank you. Detective Hermosillo, what is your occupation?
I'm currently a lieutenant in the detective division for the Rexburg Police Department.
How long have you been a detective?
5 years.
And how long were you involved in law enforcement before you became a detective?
Before I was a detective, 18 years.
Have you worked for any other law enforcement agency other than the Rexburg Police?
No,
And are you post-certified?
I am.
Detective, have you been involved in the case regarding Chad Daybell?
Yes, I have.
You know what Chad Daybell looks like?
I do.
Is he present in this courtroom?
He is. He's at the defendant's table for sure in a low screen time.
Thank you. Detective, let's talk about how did you initially become involved in the investigation regarding Mr. Daybell?
On November 1st, 2019, I was contacted by Fremont County Sheriff's Office. I was told that there was possibly a Jeep that was involved in an attempted homicide in our jurisdiction. So at that time, with that information, I contacted Gilbert Police and asked what they needed us to do to assist them.
What did you do?
Gilbert Police asked us to seize the Jeep if it was located. They gave us the address of 565 Pioneer, which is Rock Creek Townhomes. They also asked us,
I'm gonna stop real quick. Where is that address located? What city?
Rexburg,
And what county is Rexburg in?
Madison County.
So once you received that address, what did you do?
Gilbert asked us to seize the Jeep if we had located the Jeep. They also asked us to perform intermittent surveillance. So at that time, that's exactly what we did.
And when you say intermittent surveillance, what did you do to perform that surveillance?
When we were driving around, when there was no more calls coming in, we would park in front of the residence, behind the residence, take photographs of anybody leaving or coming in. That's basically what we did for the surveillance.
And do you recall what dates you did that surveillance?
The dates were between November 1st and November 4th, when I located the Jeep at 565 Pioneer.
Did you ever see the defendant at that address?
I did. There were a few times during the intermittent surveillance that we had taken photographs of the defendant, Mr. Daybell, and Lori Vallow, either coming or going from the residence.
And that was between the dates of November 1st and November 4th.
Judge, could we have, for the record, have this officer established?
I'm sorry, 2019.
So. Right, and did you, when you talked about seeing Mr. Daybell, was that between those dates of November 1st and November 4th of 2019?
That's correct.
And your primary job was to look for a Jeep, is that accurate?
Yes, that's correct.
Your Honor, I'm gonna ask that the witness be handed what's been marked, the state's exhibit 90. Very well, the court has a courtesy copy and counsel as well.
Mr. Wood, to be clear, it sounded like you said 90, this is 98.
I believe it's 90. Double check.
Glad to see the exhibit, so I can confirm my words. It's okay. Fine.
You're correct, Your Honor, 9A,
Thank you.
and that would be exhibits 9A through 90. Detective, do you recognize state's exhibits 9A through 9B?
Yes, I do.
What do they purport to be?
That is the Jeep that I had seized, parked in the parking lot just outside of 565 Pioneer.
Right. And were these pictures taken at the location of 565 Pioneer?
No, these photographs were taken at our in-town lot at the police department.
Right. Did you take these pictures?
I did not.
But do you recognize these images as true and accurate representations of the Jeep you seized from 565 Pioneer Drive?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask the state's exhibits 9A through D be entered into evidence.
The objection from the defense.
Judge, I'd like to move on to your immediate protection of the foundation.
All right, you can board there or ask foundational questions, Mr. Pryor.
Officer Hermosillo, thank you. You mentioned that you were doing surveillance on the Jeep, is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you have an occasion to get close to the Jeep during that surveillance?
We hadn't located the Jeep during that surveillance. I located the Jeep on November 4th. 2019, and that's when I had it impounded.
Okay, and at the time of being impounded, did you have the occasion to go through the Jeep and observe the Jeep energy? Or were you relying just on the photographs taken in the Jeep? Do you understand my question?
No, sir, you
I'll
repeat it.
rephrase that.
Just a quick heads up. I'm going to put an overlay on the screen right now to show you this is Detective Hermosillo. He's the gentleman that is talking. This is not a live picture of him, but this is, I think, in another hearing or in a previous hearing or trial or something. But this is Detective Ray Hermosillo. I wish that you could see him closer on their camera feed, but it's not possible. So, but that's who he is. So you get an idea of who's speaking.
Did you have a personal occasion to go through the inside of that Jeep and observe the contents within the Jeep?
Your Honor, I think that goes beyond the scope of this, specific exhibit.
I guess the issue, Mr. Wood, is he indicated he did not take these photographs, and some of the exhibits also contain photographs of the interior of the Jeep, so it's proper, for dire need of an objection.
Thank you. May I continue, Judge?
Yes.
Officer, all I'm trying to establish is I don't want you to be able to testify that, someone else took the pictures and this is what they found. I want you to be able, you're authenticating and you're under oath to swear that these are accurate photos. I'm trying to find out if that knowledge is based on your personal experience, or is it simply based on the fact that you're relying on somebody else who told you this is what we found? So that's what I'd like you to clarify for me, if you would, sir.
Sure. I impounded the Jeep. I was standing next to the officer taking the photographs, and I also went through the Jeep personally.
Okay, I withdraw the objection. Thank you, officer.
All right, exhibits, 9A through D are admitted.
Thank you, may I apologize to the jury?
You may want to have a quick sidebar with counsel. It's about the reporter? No.
I agree, Ween Baby. I wish that they would, because this sucks. The sound is horrible. I thought that it would be better if I used headphones earlier, and I was like, nah. I put headphones in, and it literally just made it way more, like, muffled. It was not good. Not good at all. But I do wish that that camera, because, see, they don't have, like, what they don't have, like, a cameraman standing there. What they have is just basically a webcam, okay? And it's just automatically set up, so they can't zoom and pan the camera and all that kind of stuff. So, basically what you see is what you're gonna get, and that sucks, because even, like, the screen there where they're gonna put, like, evidence and stuff up on that, projector screen over his head on that bottom lower, to the right of him on that bottom lower camera, it's so far away and so fuzzy, you can't really, like, they had pictures of JJ Tylee up a while ago, and you could barely even make out what it was, so it just sucks. I guess so, Ween Baby. Ween Baby says, I guess we have to be thankful for this hot mess. Yes, let's thank, who was it, Margaret? What did we say it was earlier? Spud Studios, courtesy of Paper Sack Productions. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah. Well, Ween Baby, as far as the evidence up on the screen, I don't think that they're going to show um the kids or Tammy's like remains. But they'll show the vast majority of what they're able to show. And but I would like to see the evidence, like the text messages when they pop them up on the screen, other evidence, photos, it just sucks that maybe somebody will say something and they'll fix it. I don't know. Judge Boyce, just let a camera crew in,
All right,
please.
Mr. Wood, if you'd like to proceed with publishing the court's instructions there on the sidebar, then you may publish any or all of the photos.
Thank you, Your Honor, and if I could have access to the album.
Yeah, but Ween Baby Lori's wasn't televised. We only had audio.
Detective, is this what you saw in State's Exhibit A?
Yes,
Is this the Jeep that you had been assigned to do surveillance for?
that's right.
Did you ever learn who this Jeep belonged to?
I did.
Who did it belong to?
It was registered to Charles Vallow, but we later determined that Tylee Ryan drove that Jeep.
Detective, this is State's Exhibit 9B. Is this that same Jeep?
Yes,
That's all I'm going to publish from now. Your turn.
All right, thank you.
Detective, while you were doing your surveillance, you testified that you had occasion to see the defendant, Lori Vallow. Did you ever see children with her?
no, we didn't.
Did you ever see anybody else with them?
No,
That's good. At that time, were you aware of who JJ Vallow was?
no,
Were you aware of who Tylee Ryan was?
no,
So when you spoke with, is it fair to say that when you were initially contacted by another law enforcement agency, they did not ask you to look for those children at that time?
that's correct.
Detective, did your role in this investigation change after that?
It did.
When did that happen?
After I had seized the Jeep November 4th, 2019, I contacted Gilbert Police and let them know I had the Jeep. Gilbert Police Department flew to Rexburg with a few of their detectives and a few of their crime analysts to go through the Jeep and serve a warrant with the Jeep. They were looking for the infotainment center, which is the middle of the Jeep console, has the GPS locations, things of that nature, and they wanted the information extracted. So when they were up here on November 18th, 2019, they asked me and the other detectives if during our intermittent surveillance, if we had seen any children. And we told them we hadn't. They stated that JJ's grandmother.
Judge, I'm going to object. I'm trying to be somewhat open-minded about foundation, but I'm going to object.
I'll ask a question, Your Honor.
Go ahead, thanks.
So you did have further contact with law enforcement from Arizona?
Correct.
And which law enforcement agency was that?
Gilbert Police Department.
And was it Gilbert Police Department that was looking for that Jeep?
Yes, it was.
When you followed up with them about the Jeep, did they give you any other information about their case?
They did.
Did any of that information regard children?
Yes, it did.
What were you told by Gilbert Police?
Judge objection, hearsay.
Coming in for the effect on the listener, Your Honor?
Judge, could we approach?
No, give me a moment to make a ruling on that. I'll start, the witness can answer the question, but for only the purpose of effect on the listener, if you can clarify that with your witness, Mr. Wood. Sure. And any objections overruled.
Detective, based on your conversation with Gilbert Police, did you take any action regarding any children involved in this case?
Yes, we did.
And for the purpose of what you did, what information were you given that you needed to look up on?
We were informed through their investigation that JJ Vallow's grandmother was concerned for his safety.
Judge, and I'm going to object at this point to renew my objection. That's going beyond.
I'll also stand that as bringing up your statement, Mr. Wood.
Okay. Based on your conversation with Gilbert Police, what was the next step you took in your investigation?
We were requested to do a welfare check on JJ Vallow from the Gilbert Police Department.
Detective, had you ever met JJ Vallow?
No,
Were you provided any identifying information as to his age or where he might be?
we were provided very little information, just a brief description of what he looked like, his age, and where he should be, which was 565. 565 Pioneer Road, where he lived with his mother, Lord Vallow.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask that the witness be handed State's Exhibit 1.
Judge, I'm going to stipulate to the admission of State's Exhibit 1.
All right, it's being offered, Mr. Wood.
Yes, Your Honor.
State's Exhibit 1 has been offered without objection. The court will admit State's Exhibit 1.
And Your Honor, with that stipulation, I'd actually ask that the witness be handed State's Exhibit 2 and State's Exhibit 3 as well.
Further stipulate to State's Exhibit 2, and stipulate to State's Exhibit 3.
Very well. Then, presuming you're being offered, State's Exhibits 2 and 3 are also admitted. And Mr. Wood, if they're going to be published, again, the same issue we discussed before, please.
That's all I'm doing that. Thank you. Detective, can you look at State's Exhibit 1? What is State's Exhibit 1?
That is a birth certificate out of the state of Louisiana.
Your Honor, where this is, may I publish?
Yeah.
Detective, can you identify who this is a birth certificate for?
The name on that birth certificate is Keenan Todd Trahan,
What is the birth date?
May 25th, 2012.
And where is the place of birth?
Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Your Honor, if I may publish State's Exhibit 2. The detective, I'm going to ask you to turn to the second page of State's Exhibit 2. Detective, what is State's Exhibit 2?
It's a decree of adoption.
And reading through that, are you aware of who that is a decree of adoption for?
Yes,
Who is it for?
Keenan Todd Trahan.
And on the bottom of that, can you read the second to the bottom paragraph? That is a
The entire paragraph.
yes, please.
It is further ordered, the judge and decree that the name of the child, Keenan Todd Trahan, be changed as follows. Joshua Jackson Vallow, and the registrar of the Louisiana Department of Public Health and Statistics is hereby ordered to make the appropriate changes in its records.
May I publish State's Exhibit 3, Your Honor?
Yes.
Detective, what is State's Exhibit 3?
That is also a birth certificate from the state of Louisiana.
And who is it a birth certificate for?
Joshua Jackson Vallow.
Detective, in the course of your investigation, have you learned what Joshua Jackson or JJ Vallow looks like?
Yes.
Have you seen pictures of him?
Yes, I have.
Were you able to access pictures of him from iCloud accounts associated with his mother?
Yes.
Your Honor, I ask that the witness be handed State's Exhibit 4.
All right, the witness is handed State's Exhibit 4.
Detective, you testified that you never met JJ Vallow, correct?
Correct.
How did you come to know what he looked like?
Through photographs we were given.
Where did you get those photographs?
We received a few from Gilbert Police. His grandmother, Kay Woodcock. I think that's all I can remember.
And I spoke with you briefly before. Did you ever have occasion to review iCloud accounts belonging to Lori Vallow?
Yes, we did.
And on those iCloud accounts, did you find other pictures of JJ Vallow?
Yes, we did.
And did you find videos of JJ Vallow?
Yes.
Based on your investigation, what does Exhibit 4 purport to be?
Photograph of JJ Vallow.
And you didn't take this picture, correct?
Correct.
But you recognize that individual as Joshua or JJ Vallow?
Yes.
Your Honor, for demonstrative purposes, the state would move to admit State's Exhibit 4.
The objection.
Judge, there's a little bit of foundation that I would want to hire on. So, what's the source of that picture? Where did
Lori's iCloud, Lori for Style, iCloud.com.
Judge, can we approach just briefly on this issue?
Oh, I've forgotten all about. I just heard him say Lori for Style account. That was like her main, like Google account, I think. And yeah, I heard Lori for Style account. That phrase over and over and over and over during her trial. Ugh. It just brought back memories. Not good memories either. Not good memories. Tammy, it is. I know what you mean. Tammy said a trial is sort of like a show. I hope you know what I mean by that. It totally is. Yeah. It totally is. Yup. Hey, Spins.
It,
Welcome back.
entering all the exhibits is so mundane to me. I mean, I know it's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the process of it is kind of slow, but
Yeah, I agree.
Based on our sidebar of counsel, I understand the defense does not have an objection at this point to exhibit 4 being submitted. Is that correct, Mr. Pryor?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, exhibit 4 then is submitted.
Your Honor, may I publish to the jury?
You know,
Detective, who is that?
That's JJ Vallow.
Detective, you were talking about receiving a request to do a welfare check, correct?
That's correct.
When did you receive that request?
On November 25th, 2019, late evening hours, I received a call from Detective Pillar with the Gilbert Police Department. And he requested that
Judge, I'm going to object at this point.
Her request is a hearsay.
at this point, I don't hear an objection on hearsay, so you see.
Go ahead and repeat the question, please.
What did you do in response to that request?
On November 25th, 2019, I received a call from Detective Pillar, of the Gilbert Police Department. He requested that I do a welfare check on JJ Vallow the next morning because he wasn't able to get a hold of JJ or
This is standing hearsay.
Did you do a welfare check for JJ Vallow?
we did.
What date did you do that?
November 26th, 2019.
How did you go about doing that?
On that morning of November 26th, 2019, myself and Detective Daybell went to Lori Vallow's residence where we presumed JJ was at. She lived at 565 Pioneer, apartment 175. As we approached, expecting to speak with Lori, we noticed the defendant, Chad Daybell, and Alex Cox unloading a pickup truck near the garage area.
And at this point, were you aware of who Chad Daybell was?
Yes,
How would you learn about him?
through our investigation with Gilbert and communicating with Gilbert Police Department.
And so you recognized who he was.
Correct.
And at that time, were you aware of who Alex Cox was?
Yes, we were.
So after you saw them, what did you do next?
I got out of my vehicle and made contact with Alex. He was standing at the driver's side of his pickup truck, and the defendant Daybell was on the passenger side. I asked Alex if Lori Vallow was home, and he stated that she wasn't home. I asked Alex if JJ was home, that we were there to do a welfare check. And at that point, Alex got a surprised, frightened look on his face, looked over at across the pickup at the defendant Daybell. The defendant Daybell then looked back at Alex, and initially, neither one of them answered my question.
After they didn't answer your question, what did you do?
I asked them again if JJ was home, and Alex Cox finally answered and stated that JJ was with his grandmother in Louisiana.
When you were given that information, did it cause you any concern?
It did, because I informed Alex that it was highly unlikely because his grandmother.
Judge, I'm going to object at this point. We're going to be getting into your soon.
I'll sustain that.
Your Honor, I think the defendant's about to testify what he said to Alex Cox.
Okay, that's not what I understood where it was going. You can ask the question, Mr. Wood.
Second, what did you say to Alex Cox?
I informed Alex that it was unlikely because Kay.
Judge, I'm going to object. This is going to lead into hearsay.
Your Honor, this is a statement by a declarant on the witness seat. It cannot be hearsay.
Overruled, and it is permissible, so objection overruled.
What did you say to Alex Cox?
I informed Alex that it was unlikely that JJ was with his grandmother Kay because she was the one who called in the welfare check.
And what was the response to that?
There was no response initially. Alex again looked over at the defendant Daybell, and they kind of both just looked at each other. And at that point, I asked Alex where I could find Lori Vallow.
And did he give you a location to find her?
He stated that she was in apartment 107, which is the same apartment complex, just a few apartments down.
What did you do at that point?
At that point, I asked Alex if there was a way I could contact Lori, and asked Alex for her cell phone number. And Alex told me that he didn't have her cell phone number.
So were you aware at that point that Alex Cox and Lori Vallow were siblings?
Yes, through our investigation with Gilbert, we knew that Alex Cox and Lori Vallow were extremely close. So when Alex told me he didn't have his sister's cell phone number, I assumed he was lying to me.
What did you do once you received that information?
Myself and Detective Hope left the defendant Daybell and Alex at the pickup truck. We went over to apartment 107 to see if we can make contact with Lori. At that point, we were just trying to find JJ Vallow.
And were you able to locate him at apartment 107?
No, we knocked on apartment 107, there was no answer. So at that point, Detective Hope began knocking on neighbors' doors to see if we can get a hold of anybody who would know if they saw a little boy coming in and out of that apartment or who resided in that apartment. And while Detective Hope was doing that, I started walking back to my vehicle to call for more detectives to come over to our location.
Why did you call for more detectives?
Because of the deception from Alex, I wanted to figure out what exactly was going on. And we were going to start canvassing the area and knocking on doors, so the more detectives we had on scene, the better it was for us.
Detective, to clarify, when you first saw Alex and Chad Daybell, did you speak with Chad Daybell?
No, I personally didn't.
So I believe you testified that you started walking back to the original appointment.
Correct.
What happened then?
As I was approaching my car that was parked in the alleyway, I noticed the defendant Daybell driving towards me in a black Chevy Equinox. It appeared he had just left apartment 175 and was headed towards me in the alleyway. So at that point, I stopped him to have a conversation.
What did you ask him?
I asked the defendant Daybell, when's the last time you saw JJ Vallow? And he stated it was in October in apartment 107 with Lori Bell.
Did you ask him anything else?
I did. I asked him how he knew Lori, and he stated he had only met her a couple of times, and that he didn't know her very well.
Did that response cause any concern for you?
It did.
Why?
Through our investigation, prior to me making any contact with the defendant Daybell or Alex Cox, we knew that Chad and Lori had been married 2 weeks prior to my conversation with them in the alley.
So is it fair to say you were troubled by his government? What happened after that?
I asked Mr. Daybell, the defendant Daybell, if he had Lori Vallow's telephone number so I could get hold of her. And he stated he didn't have her phone number.
Did you have any further conversation?
I did. When I was speaking with the defendant Daybell, Detective Hope saw me talking with him and started to walk back to my location. As he approached, I again asked the defendant Daybell for Lori's number because I assumed he was lying to me based on what I knew. And at that time, he did give me Lori's phone number.
Did he tell you why he didn't give it to you in the first place?
He did. He stated that he felt I was accusing him of something.
And had you accused him of anything?
No, I simply asked him the whereabouts of JJ and asked him for his wife's telephone number.
Detective, during this interaction, were you wearing a body cam?
No, I wasn't.
Why not?
In the detective division, most of our interviews are in a controlled environment. We call people into the police department. We have an interview room set up with cameras. So most of the time we're conducting our business and our interviews at the police department. It's very rare we're the first officers or detectives on scene. There is one body cam between 7 detectives. Unlike patrol, where a patrolman is assigned a body cam, a detective is not assigned a body.
What happened after you got that information from the defendant?
I called my lieutenant at the time and told him what was going on. I felt that based on the deception and lies from the defendant Daybell, who is JJ's stepfather, the lies and the deception from JJ's uncle, who is Alex Cox. I felt there was more going on with the whereabouts of JJ. And so at that time, I wanted to get everybody over there to see if we could figure out what was going on. So I asked my lieutenant to gather some detectives and respond to my location.
And then what happened?
A few minutes later, my lieutenant arrived with Detective Dave Stubbs, who had a body cam at that point. We began knocking on doors. We went back to 175, which was Lori Vallow's apartment, and started knocking on her door and didn't get any answer.
And I apologize if I missed it. Who was your lieutenant?
Wrong ball.
All right, so after you weren't able to get any answers, what did you do next?
Through our investigation, we learned that Lori Vallow's niece, Melanie Boudreau, it was Melanie Plowski, no, correction, Melanie Boudreau at the time, it's now Melanie Plowski. She lived in apartment 174, which is right next door to Lori. So at that point, we knocked on her apartment as well to see if Lori or JJ was at that apartment.
Did anybody answer?
No, they didn't.
What did you do next?
I was instructed to go back to the police department or the prosecutor's office to see if we can obtain a search warrant to search the residence for JJ Vallow, while the other detectives stayed on scene and started knocking on doors in that complex. At that point, our only focus was to find JJ and to figure out what was going on. So we were going to exhaust every means that we could to see if we could do that. And that's why I went to the prosecutor's office to see if I could obtain a search warrant.
And did you obtain a warrant that day?
No.
Why not?
On the way to the prosecutor's office, Detective Hope, with the number that the defendant Daybell provided, called that number. There was no answer, but he left a message. Once we got to the prosecutor's office, Lori Vallow called back and she was instructed to open the door. There were detectives outside of her door that wanted to speak with her.
And are you aware of any detectives were able to make contact with her that day?
Yes, they did.
Do you know who that was?
Detective Stubbs and Detective Ball.
And you had mentioned earlier that Detective Stubbs had a body cam on, correct?
Correct.
And do you know if their interaction with Lori Vallow was recorded?
Yes, it was.
Have you watched that video?
Yes, I have.
At that point in your investigation, what did you do?
After
Detectives Ball and Stubbs had spoken with Lori Vallow, what did you do? What did you do next?
we were informed that JJ was with a family friend.
Judge, I'm going to object to this. How about some foundation?
Sustain that.
Detective, did you speak with Detectives Ball and Stubbs about their interaction with Lori that day?
Yes,
Did you speak with them that day?
yes,
Did you watch the body cam of their interaction with Lori Vallow that day?
yes, I did.
So you're aware of what she said to them.
Correct.
Based on what she said to them, what did you do next in your investigation?
We attempted to locate the family friend to see if JJ was with her in Gilbert, Arizona.
And do you know who that family friend was?
Melanie Gibb.
Were you able to contact her?
I was not.
Did you have any interaction with Arizona law enforcement day about contacting Melanie Gibb?
I did. It was starting to get into the later hours of that evening. So I contacted Detective Pillar with Gilbert Police Department. And I had him go to Melanie Gibb's residence to see if JJ was there. Ultimately, we learned he was not there.
About what time did you learn that JJ was not with Melanie Gibb?
Roughly 9 o'clock at night.
And what did you do when you found out that he was not there?
I contacted Lieutenant Wall and let him know. And we agreed to meet at the prosecutor's office that next morning early to obtain search warrants for those apartments.
Okay, and just for clarity of the record, which apartments are you talking about?
Apartment 175, which belonged to Lori Vallow, 174, which belonged to Melanie Boudreau, apartment 107, because that's the last time JJ was seen based on the defendant Daybell's statements.
Detective, were you able to obtain those warrants?
Yes, we were.
What did you do? Well, what day did you obtain those warrants?
November 27th, 2019, in the early morning hours.
And on that day, did you execute those warrants?
We did.
Let's talk about that. Where did you search first?
We searched apartment 175 first.
Was there a reason you searched there first?
That was his address that we were given from the Dover Police Department, and that's where his mother lived.
What did you find in apartment 175?
So initially, when we broke down the door, everything looked ordinary. There were couches, there were papers on the table, there was food in the refrigerator, food in the pantry. We went upstairs, there were beds, pictures. Everything seemed that people lived there. The thing that caught our attention was there were no clothes on the hanger in any of the closets. Zero clothes. Just a bunch of empty hangers hanging there like somebody took the clothes off and left.
Did you locate JJ in that apartment?
No.
Did you see any evidence whatsoever to suggest that he had been living there?
Yes, we did. There were a couple things. We located a child's Star Wars suitcase underneath a little crawl space under the stairs. It was mixed in with some, what I can best describe as 72-hour kits, and the kits had like flashlights, flares, water. The suitcase was mixed in with those. We also found an old prescription bottle prescribed to JJ of Risperidone. And there were miscellaneous photographs of JJ in the residence.
And did you see any other evidence of any minor children?
No. Correct. We did. When we first went inside, there were some scooters and a small child's, looked like a small child's bike right on the porch.
Okay. Did you seize anything from the home that day?
We did. I seized the Risperidone and the suitcase.
After you searched apartment 175, what did you do next?
We searched 174, which was Melanie Boudreaux's apartment. Everything appeared normal in there. There were no signs of JJ or anything that he was even there. But we also searched apartment 107, and that was completely vacant. There was nothing in apartment 107.
Did you seize anything from apartments 174 or 107?
We seized, in apartment 174, we seized some cash, large amounts of cash that were found in the closet. And the only reason we seized those were for safekeeping, because we had kicked the door in there as well, and it wasn't able to lock, so we took that.
Did you locate any weapons in any of those apartments?
So in apartment 175, when we were searching the garage area, we located several different style weapons, handguns, rifles, various calibers, army knives, a lot of different weapons that were inside the garage.
And why did you seize those?
Again, for safekeeping. That apartment didn't lock. And so we took those so it wouldn't be stolen.
Did you find any evidence that JJ Vallow had been in apartment 174?
No.
Did you find any evidence that JJ Vallow had been in apartment 107?
No.
Did you search any other building that day?
We did. In apartment 175, we located a storage unit rental agreement contract. And on that storage unit contract was the name Lori Ryan. It had listed her as the tenant, and it listed the storage unit number as T52. And it gave an address of self-storage on Airport Road in Rexburg. So with that information, we were able to obtain a search warrant for that storage unit as well.
And did you participate in the search of that storage unit?
Yes, I did.
What did you find there?
There were a few bikes, children's bikes. There were boxes of winter clothing, some ice skates. There wasn't a lot in the storage unit. There was a personalized, like a family blanket, a big blanket with family photos that were kind of sewn onto the blanket. Those photos had JJ Vallow, Tylee Ryan, and their sibling Kobe Ryan. There were pictures of Lori Vallow. But other than that, there was nothing else really in the storage unit.
When you performed these searches, were you looking for Tylee Ryan?
No,
So to your knowledge, she hadn't been reported missing.
that's correct.
Your Honor, if I could have a brief sidebar.
Yes.
Mr. Wood, I understand this would be a good breaking point in this testimony for the lunch hours, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and take our lunch recess at this time. Before we do that, again, I will just advise the jurors, please don't discuss the case amongst yourselves or with anyone else over the break. In addition, for those in the courtroom, we will be closing the courtroom, I believe, during the lunch break. So things you have in here will need to go with you. We'll reopen upon the conclusion of the lunch break, and we'll still be under the court's governing order for court of conduct when we return. So thank you everyone for complying with that. With that in mind, we'll go and take our lunch recess now.
All rise.
All right, so they're going to break. Ween Baby, thank you for that. I'll check it out. I went and looked. They've got the same feed, but if their audio is any better, then that would be nice. Hold on just a second. Let me click the live button on here. But yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this stream and I'm going to make a part 2 for after lunch. So let me hold on just a second. Let me share the link in the chat for part 2. Hold on just a minute. I think I've got it set for 3:30 Eastern, but I may make it for 3 depending on when they actually come back for lunch. So, hold on. Copy. And then, meet us back here after lunch. Yeah, I'm gonna start another stream because I think I'm gonna have to restart my computer because it is being super sketch. I don't know. It's like very, very laggy. When I go to like click on something, it takes it a second before it actually does what I tell it to do, and it's annoying me. Ay, ay, ay. How are things going on your end, Kel?
Good, good. Just the audacity at the line to the cops right away
Oh, right.
is, you know what I mean? It's like, how do you not have your sister's phone number?
Right? I know. It's so stupid.
Yeah. And my takeaway from this morning was like, did they not have a plan? Or did they not expect, the kids to start being reported missing so soon? Because they had to know that someone was going to come looking for them.
Right.
And they just seemed dumbfounded at the possibility that that would be happening.
Right. I read somewhere someone had mentioned that, and I can't remember where I saw it at, but someone had made mention about why they didn't think that did they not realize that the kids were going to be looked for so soon. And
Mhm.
someone had said that in their sick and twisted minds, they thought that the world was going to be done and over with
Oh, by
by that
then.
by the time that they were being
Oh,
looked for. I think that's another reason why they got married so quickly is because I think in the Mormon religion, when you're married, you spend like eternity with that person or something. I don't know, but that's
right.
another reason why I do kind of believe that they believed in their BS, you know?
True. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Then they wouldn't have need to make a plan if they thought the world was going to be over by then.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
Crazy pants, crazy pants.
Well, enjoy your lunch.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go grab a quick bite, and I'm gonna fix the kids a little something to eat, and then gotta switch some laundry over, and I gotta restart my computer and maybe like do some. Maybe it needs to do an update or something. I don't know, but it's being super wonky,
Hmm.
getting on my daggone nerves.
Okie dokie.
But I will send you the link. I'll send you the link to the new stream whenever I get ready to go, and I might start it a few minutes early just so we can kind of chit chat before they come back from lunch. But Nate, I think on Twitter, said that he usually has 1 hour lunches, so I'd say they'll be back then at 3 our time, and I've got this other feed set for 3:30, so I need to go back and set it for maybe like 2:45. That way it'll give us about 15 minutes to chat before they come back in.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, dear. Well, have a good rest of your work day, I guess, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Keep plugging
Let me see.
along.
The trial of self-proclaimed prophet Chad Daybell. So that means what we're going to do.
Okay, hush. I love you, Jesse, but hush for a minute, dude.
Okay, I'm
Let
gonna
that
hop out. I'm gonna
stuff
hop
dry on his
out.
face. All right, I'll see you back.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna copy and paste the link again one more time. Meet us over here for part 2 of the Daybell Dingbat Dumbbell Jolie, will you sit down, ma'am? Crazy kid. What, baby? You want to go get a snack? Yeah, okay. Here. And I'm going to set it for about 45 minutes from now. So, all right. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up so that people can easily find it, so that they don't miss the opening statements. And if you're watching on the replay, use hashtag replay in the comments section down below. And yeah, we'll see you back momentarily. Have a good lunch. Bye.